I love it. Faders come up, everybody goes silent.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. That was me hoping for a nice little quiet sort of slowly fade up. Hello, somebody's listening to us on
Catch up, ITV player.
ITV player.
Oh God, that's old now. Yeah.
What's it called now? X or something like that.
Oh yeah, ITV.
Whoever designed that new app for ITV, they need to.
Yeah, I think the folks that designed the ITVX platform and the app, they need to go on a course.
Yeah.
Because, it's
The
not
same-
very good, is it?
The same course that BA need to go on for their app.
Yes, I would agree.
Presentation course, I think, probably. Yes. It's very buffery, isn't it? It's quite sort of bloaty and slow and.
Well, it's my age. It's
not you.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Oh dear.
It's a bit that carry, Nev.
That's it.
Indeed. Never mind. Okay. Well, we're live. It's the 500th episode.
Coding.
I'm trying to.
Who'd have thought it?
I don't have the chat.
Oh, Matt.
Oh no. Whatever.
Did you get the? Did you get the? There was some pictures as well for the giveaway, prize giveaway that was in that folder.
Sure. Hang on.
They're definitely in there.
Okay.
Oh, it's a brilliant prize, and it's a tricky question as well.
It's a super prize. It really is. I'm quite jealous.
There'll be a
It's,
few listeners who are definitely going to want to win this.
Is it in the folder labelled 500th competition prize?
That's it.
Okay.
I see you've got your perceptive hat on this evening.
I know. Yes. I've got my. Yes.
I suppose the presenters aren't allowed to take part. That's
No, it appears not.
No.
It's frowned upon.
I was taking the pictures of it last night to obviously upload to the drive, and I looked at it and I thought,
You've excelled yourself, Carl.
God, that would look so nice on my shelf.
I've got a question for you, Carlos.
Lovely picture of your skirting board, Carlos. Just saying.
Which milestone was the one that you had at the Sim Centre in London?
That was the 200th. Yeah.
Was it that long ago? 200.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So
that's mind blowing, isn't it? 300 episodes ago.
Control it all with the mouse. This is like a TV studio in a computer.
Oh, what was that? That was 2018.
2018.
So,
January 2018.
Something like that. Yeah.
It was before my daughter was born. Yeah.
Okay, so if you wanted to pop that up.
Wow.
So whatever you're about to go.
Way to put it in perspective.
I fired up the sim at home the weekend.
We've been doing this.
We've
been doing this long enough to have a child walk and talk and be potty trained.
Yeah.
So we've got Armando there. Or if we want to.
Sorry, what were you saying, Carlos?
I've done a Heathrow to Schiphol on Sunday. Full start up from start to finish with ATC and everything.
Nice.
What ATC are you using? Oh, the internal one?
The AI one, yeah, on Microsoft, yeah. But you don't have a proper flight plan right across and stuff, and they even put me on a hold when I got just close to Schiphol.
Yeah, so we made this.
One of these days, we're gonna get you on VATSIM or Pilot Edge, and then you're just gonna be.
Carry on.
Oh.
No, you carry on. Chat away.
I wonder what was going on then.
I'm just showing the studio guest the buttons.
I'll tell you what though, I hadn't had Microsoft Flight Sim on for probably nearly close to probably 2 months since I last fired it up. Put it on Sunday and it was like updates, checking for updates, and then it came up and said there was just over 6 gig of updates.
If I didn't spend all day on a computer, I would probably be quite into the simming at home myself, I think.
And then basically whatever's being pushed out.
Well, especially after
so I can always see what's
after
going on.
sitting in the sim too. Then you just want to perfect it all.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot to perfect in my case.
I saw there was an advert for an 85-inch flat screen. I saw online the other day, and I thought,
how much was that?
It was only 1,800 quid.
Oh, is that all?
And I thought,
another motorbike for that.
Who takes care
I think I'm going to go VR next.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's quite.
I think I'm
story
going
about
to. We do have a story about that, but I've done a couple of those that. Well, the military's gone VR for undergraduate pilot training 2.5. So their first, I think, 40 hours doing emergency procedures and initial formation training is all on a VR sim. The cockpit is set up so they have the tactile, muscle memory, but it's all VR and it's incredibly immersive. Like you feel like you're in the airplane, and they're flying T6s in this. And they said that it's cut down something like 20% of training time in the actual airplane because it's so realistic.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Sorry, I guess I should have said that for later in the show.
Well, now we know who to go to comment on the story.
I'm normally working.
No,
I'm just going to go back out.
Yeah. So we never.
So this week is Alaska Airlines for the retro ad.
Nice.
Oh, very good.
Is that back when it wasn't even a state? It's just the Alaska territory.
It's quite an amusing ad, actually.
Oh, occasionally.
Very amazing ad.
When did that happen?
Are they doing an ad where the door plug actually stays in for the duration of the flight?
1950 something.
Yeah.
No, this one's from the early 1980s.
I think that's because I'm old enough now.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry.
What do you think of the retro advert?
Yeah, right.
Segment now,
Yeah.
guys, Captain Cruise, Richard Adams,
Will he repeat it?
Dirk.
Really good. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed.
Absolutely, yeah. It's nice to see
How things used to
the
be.
looks. Yeah, the looks of it.
Right. Do you say we've got a retro ad, Carlos? Yeah.
There is one in the folder, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is the bit you don't see, of course.
3 minutes. 3 minutes, Carlos.
Yep.
Or sorry, Matt.
Okay. Yeah.
3 minutes.
Understood.
He's in
Nev,
his element.
It's the clock on the front, is it, Nev? So it
Yeah.
needs to start 30 seconds before 7?
Yes, it does.
Correct. Okay, right, thank you. So I need to we'll pop the clock up there so that we can see the time.
And no, it's Buckinghamshire time, not Suffolk time.
Rude. Something
I
about
don't think what Devon time is.
something about people from Suffolk.
Well, actually, if you go back long enough, didn't there used to be Bristol time? So
Yes.
wasn't there the west and southwest of the country many years ago on a different time to the
Do you know
rest?
why they changed it?
Yeah, it was because of the railways, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Everywhere used to have different time. Everywhere used to have a slight variation. Then when the railways came along, they had to standardise it.
My best friend has his own special version of GMT, and it's basically GMT in his case stands for Geordie Mean Time, which essentially means it's whatever the current time is minus 15 minutes, because he's always late. So
We're not going to mention the Geordie word again.
well, in James's defence, he is actually a Geordie.
He is, yeah.
He is actually.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that again, Nick. You just dug yourself out of that mess.
I did some very thorough googling in my defence just to try and figure out what the actual kind of regional nickname might be for somebody that lives in your area. And unfortunately, the internet said that you're still a Geordie. So if I read it on the internet, it must be true.
Oh, it must be true. Must be true.
Well, quite. Okay, so 25 minutes, 25 seconds then before we press the go button. Here we go.
Anyway, Andy, I'm quite shocked that your outfit is flying 737s again.
15 seconds to go.
According to that article.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, a very warm welcome to the 500th show, and it might look as though we're in somebody's kitchen, but in fact myself and Matt here are over at VA Airline training at Cambridge Airport, and well, what a day we've got planned, and thank you very much to you, Matt, for all the things that you've done to help us get this far.
No problem at all. Yes, it's going to be a busy day, particularly for you and the team, so yeah, we've got a lot in store, for sure.
So we've got here a little bit ahead of time because we've got some gear to set up and what have you. So tell us, what are we going to be doing today here?
Well, we're going to do the ultimate airliner comparison. We're going to go and have 2 simulator sessions, one in the Airbus A320, and then after that we're going to do a very similar profile in a Boeing 737. And it's going to give us the opportunity to see the differences between the two, because there's a huge difference in the design and the philosophy behind both those aircraft. And we'll see the benefits and the pros and cons of both, and see how you find flying them, and at the end we can have a discussion, see what you thought and which one you preferred.
Yeah, and I think that there's a possibility of actually us seeing our traces as well in terms of how we flew the aircraft and how accurately we flew it.
Oh yes, we'll pull all the telemetry out, and maybe I might even do a bit of scoring, see how you get on.
Wow.
Yes. Exactly.
Now, both of these sims are fixed base simulators, but you wouldn't know, to be honest with you, because of the way the projection works in these systems. You've got all that peripheral vision, so when you're in a left or a right hand bank, for example, you really are leaning with the aircraft. And
absolutely.
It's really effective, isn't it?
Yeah, so the simulators we're going to be using today are the highest level of simulator you can get in a fixed base, so they don't move. Multi-million-pound pieces of kit each, so these are the things that real airline pilots are using for their training before they go onto the full flight full motion simulators, so it's the real deal.
Yeah, I was just about to say, these aren't sort of consumer or hobbyist things. No. I mean, these are people using and paying a lot of money for these sims on an hourly basis.
Yeah, and the sims we're going in, there's quite a few well-known airlines that use and hire these exact simulators to do their interview and simulator testing. So if they're actually interviewing, they will hire this sim center for airlines to come in, and their potential pilots will come in and they'll actually have a simulator check, and that's where part of the interview process will be run here. So that's how good the simulators are here.
And would these be suitable for a command upgrade, for example, as well? Do you think?
Absolutely. Particularly with command, a lot of it is all about the processes, your competencies, dealing with situations, failure management, and things like that, which can be run very well in this situation. Yeah. The only benefit that you get from having a full motion simulator will be handling, and generally it's actually landings, understanding that profile and getting a feedback of the landing. But for what we're doing today, this is going to be more than enough.
Well, now we've got a variable amount of experience between the whole team. We've got Armando, of course, who's right at the top end of things, who seems to have flown everything. There's myself, that's got about 35 minutes on a PA-28 and about 2.5 hours in an A320 simulator and about 3 hours in a 737 simulator. We've got Carlos, who nearly did his PPL, but not quite. And then we've got Nick, who's had a little bit of GA experience, but not that much. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how we all get on. So without further ado, let's go over into the A320 sim, where Matt will be ready and waiting for us.
So here is how the session is going to run. They're going to be already airborne, and we're going to go in for approaches at runway 26 left in London Gatwick. Each team member will do the same approaches, so they each get a chance to be compared against each other. We'll start with some manual handling just so they get a feel of the aircraft, and then we'll go in for those approaches. We'll start the approach off initially with the autopilot on, so the aircraft gets settled down, they can see what the pitch has got to be and what the general picture looks like when they're looking at the screens and out the window. And then once they're comfortable and ready, they'll take the autopilot out, and then it'll be approach down to land. Each person will get several goes at doing an approach. Hopefully we'll see improvements at each time. I'll be in the back running the sim, and we'll have most likely Armando sat in the other seat when it's not his go, because he's got experience with flying, of course, other aircraft, so he can give some coaching from the right hand seat as well. Once we've done that, we will cross over and do exactly the same in the other aircraft. What we're going to be looking for is them to show progression, and of course based on their current ability, so effectively like a handicap system. So I'll be expecting much higher standard from Armando, so much more pressure on him, and then we'll have a look, and the main thing we're looking at is for improvement on each one. So it doesn't really matter their starting point, we'll have a look and see how they get on. Here's what the approach chart looks like. You can see this is the instrument approach that we would use. Every airfield has one of these, and they'll have different plates for showing on the ground, where we are for the arrival that brings us in, and then one for each of the approaches. And this is what we'll be using to set up the aircraft. Of course, we won't expect the team to be using this chart today. Just gives you an idea of the sort of charts and paperwork that we use when we're running in for an approach. Right, let's go into the sim, see how they get on. So we're starting with Carlos on the A320. That sound there is the autopilot coming out. So now Carlos has got full control.
500.
So the yellow crossbar there that Armando was talking about, that is the flight directors. That gives guidance on pitch and roll and gives Carlos some idea of where it should be to keep on profile. Auto thrust is in, so the autopilot is controlling the thrust and therefore the speed. All he has to concentrate on is that pitch and roll. You can see just to the left of the runway there's 4 lights at the moment. We've got one of them as white, and now they've all gone red. That's called the Precision Approach Path Indicator, or the PAPs, and they're just lights that shine at angles, so you get an idea of where you should be. There should be 2 white and 2 red. Starting the flare, nice touchdown, very nice landing.
Reverses up, spoilers.
So we're just on the rollout now, keeping it nicely towards the centre of the runway. Very good job. This was Carlos's second approach, so he'd had one practice before this, and significant progression on this one, so very well done, Carlos.
Speed, 60 knots.
Next up we have Nick in the A320.
And to hand fly, you're just going to hit that red button right there.
1,000.
1,000 feet.
So Armando is just talking about how he's going to disconnect the autopilot pressing the red button, and those of you watching the video will see more of that when we get to NEVSCO.
Sure, we think. I guess we'll find out. We'll see.
So they're just discussing when they're expecting the cloud to break. So the forecast on this approach is for 700 feet. That's what they're discussing. And as we would in real life, we generally keep the autopilot in until we're visual. There's the runway.
If you want to kick off the autopilot, you can.
So there's the autopilot off.
Just nice, easy little corrections.
And as we discussed last time with Carlos, we've got the PAPs there, the 4 lights on the left. We're looking for 2 whites, 2 reds. If we have 3 or more reds, it's telling us we're low. 3 or more whites is telling us we're high. It's just a nice visual cue to give us an idea of our profile.
You do have a crosswind coming from your right, so you're going to have to grab it a little bit.
100 above.
Nice gentle inputs you can see there from Nick, so that's what the Airbus likes, just very gentle little inputs, small adjustments.
Minimum.
There you go, continue, you can do this, you've got this.
Very nice and stable. As you can see, we've still got those 2 reds, 2 whites for those of you watching the video.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard.
Flares there, bringing the thrust back to idle. Just brought the nose up slightly after touchdown. So, unlike a light aircraft on an airline, as soon as we're touched down, we want to bring that nose down onto the runway rather than keeping the pitch up.
Yeah. Nice job, buddy.
As Armando says there, nice job. So well done, Nick. Very good. on to the next victim.
Okay, that wasn't too bad. Well, that was really good. We can use the plane on the tiller now. Yeah. Use this. Yeah. Sorry about that, Nev. Nice job, Nick. That was great. Thanks. Tower speedbird 124, ILS 26 left.
Speedbird 124, runway 26 left, clear to land. Surface wind 180 degrees, 15 knots.
So we've got the next victim, Nev here, and as you heard there, as you'd expect, a speedbird call sign.
Yeah, flat full.
Flaps full, 1,000 feet.
Mr. BA coming in for his approach.
And cabin secure, go around altitude is set for 3,000, and ECAM is no blue.
So like with Nick, we're in the cloud waiting to go visual with the runway before disconnecting the autopilot. We spoke on Nick's go about the autopilot disconnect push button. Those of you watching the video, you can see here, Nev has his thumb on it ready and poised. There we go, he's disconnected it. And now Nev is in control.
Slightly right.
Remember, we're looking for these nice, gentle movements. So, a little bit over controlling here from Nev, which only makes your work harder.
Minimum.
So as you can see, a bit of over controlling there,
50 feet left, of course.
probably making more work for himself.
50.
Destabilizes the profile a bit.
20. Retard. 10.
Starting the flare.
Left rudder, left rudder.
Nose bobs up again, just like Nick did. Very common issue, particularly those that have flown other aircraft types before.
Go ahead and reverse.
Lastly, on the centre line, where we were when we touched down, there's the edge of the runway. So that, those of you watching that white line there is the edge, runway edge, rather than the centre line. Coming back on now.
There's one tire. There's two tires.
But I did make the high-speed exit though.
You did make it.
Oh my god. Oh, it's shocking, isn't it?
You recovered that really well.
So as Armando says, they're good effort, got it on that centre line. Just a bit of over controlling there would probably destabilise you a bit. Last but not least, we have Armando. We've got Armando in the left seat, and we've got Carlos in the right-hand seat. Pilot monitoring.
A little low, correcting.
So Armando has gone with the autopilot out from early on, which we would expect at his level. So it's a bit harder for Armando, and we're obviously expecting a bit more. So no pressure, Armando.
All right, let's go flaps 3, please.
Flaps 3. And flaps 3 select.
Those of you watching the video version, you can see Armando's left hand there. He's making very nice small inputs, which is what we're looking for on a fly-by-wire aircraft like the A320.
Let's go flaps full.
And flaps full. And flaps full select.
And before landing checks.
Okay, cabin secure landing. Go around altitude is...
set that for 3,000.
Spoilers armed. Flaps are set. And
1,000.
Lovely. So in real life, all our checks have to be done by 1,000 feet. So they did that as per standard operating.
Speedbird 142, runway 26 left, clear to land. Surface wind 350 degrees, 20 knots. Clear land, runway 26 left, we go on. 32.
Glide slope.
Oh, so that's a warning that we've got a little bit low on the approach. We've got below the glide slope, which is our vertical guidance, as as we're coming into the approach, so it's just warning us we're a little bit low. So Mando just correcting there.
Semi-stable.
That's stable. Speed's 140.
Slow correcting.
Those of you familiar with Gatwick, just coming over the car park there. Good visuals, very realistic visuals on these simulators. Just coming over the threshold of the runway there. You can see that coming in, should start counting down any second, ready to start that flare.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard.
So nice flare, nice touchdown, very good on the centre line, as you can see there, those watching. Very nicely done.
Alright, spoilers are up.
No reverse.
Of course, we wouldn't expect anything less, would we, Armando? Very good.
Spoilers are full.
With everyone having had a go on the A320 now, let's go back to the briefing room and have a little discussion about how each of them felt that went and what they thought of the A320.
You join us at the Sim Centre, where we have been very lucky indeed to come for our 500th show celebration, with a bit of a difference this time from our previous milestone shows. Obviously the 100th we had the Vulcan bomber, the 200th we had, where was the 200th? Can you remember what we done in 200th? That was
London.
That was London, yes, at the Sim. And our 300th was at Heathrow at the Renaissance. 400th was at Brooklands. And here we are in Cambridge for our 500th, and we've been royally spoiled. We've been given access to not just an A320 sim, but also a 737 sim. And we've all had a go, haven't we, on the sim, which has been quite good. But as I said, it's a milestone show with a difference this time. We normally obviously have all you guys and girls join us at a location and we have a big celebration. But we thought we'd do something different this year, because it is always a big event for us. We love meeting all our listeners, obviously, and seeing all you turn up and see us from all across the globe. But we never get a chance to kind of spend any time together as a team. So for the 500th, we decided we'd come here to the VA Airline Training Centre here in Cambridge. Right next door to Cambridge Airport is literally just the other side of that wall there, and do some flying. And it's safe to say that Armando has been very active in not just the right, but also the left seat as well, which has been good. Armando, over to you. Tell a bit about what you've been doing in the sim.
Well, all of our professional pilot friends know that it's actually the right seat that does all the work, and it is the most fun seat because you're actually the one running all the switches and running the checklists. And but I think for the Airbus is just a big video game, wasn't it? I mean,
well, yes, but at least we've got some quality product in there. We've just got a few switches to worry about, rather than all this fiddling around that you have to do in the 7.3.
I can't wait. We've all worked out prior to going into the 7.3. We'll do another couple warm-up laps, and then now we'll turn up the winds and everything in the 7.3, and then feel like real pilots, right? Definitely. No offense to any Airbus pilots, but it was pretty easy. These guys, actually, our instructor, Alan, first of all, thanks to Alan for spending his whole day with us. He had nothing but good things to say about you guys, and I have to agree. Everybody did really, really well, and we did. What did we do? We turned up the winds a little bit to 15 and 20 knot crosswinds. We got the ceilings down from 2,000 to 1,000, 700 to 500. You guys all did really well. Everybody landed on the runway, so the airplane was pointed where it was supposed to be. But we'll see if that stays true with the 7.3.
Yeah. Now, Nick, you obviously your first sort of kind of event out with us, or big event, I should say. You've been to the Cosford Airshow last year, but your first milestone show as part of the team. And what a way to start off.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, obviously, I came along to the 400th at Brooklands as a listener and occasional contributor, and then Nev sort of twisted my arm a bit and signed me up, and so now I'm doing there in the back room, making sure everything's ready for the show. But yeah, it's fantastic. Great to be able to see everybody in person, come along, and us all to get together like this, and actually to do a bit of flying as well. It's been frankly a bit of a dream
for you.
Yeah, I've had a very long-term kind of ambition, if you like, which was to land an airliner, and so far today I've done that 3 times. So
and you did really well.
Thanks.
I mean, you guys gotta hand it to him for the first time doing it. We've all been in sims before, but you did really, really well.
My previous flying experience is probably 5 or 6 hours GA, and I haven't flown any GA for probably 10 years. So it was really interesting. And actually, after we'd finished, I got about 5 minutes of just hand flying over London, just to see how the aircraft handled and see how it felt. And yeah, it was very interesting how safe the Airbus feels, and just it's a very, very straightforward aircraft. It feels very friendly and as though it's on your side and it's looking after you.
Nev, you've obviously had experience here at VA Airline Training Centre here in Cambridge. You've done some filming with our very own Matt C. But how is this for you today? Obviously, you've done a bit more flying, and you've obviously done quite a few approaches. What's your thoughts, Nev?
I mean, I've had about sort of 2.5 hours in the Airbus, I would say, and with some challenging situations like a single engine failure on takeoff and flying a circuit and then back in. It is, you can over control it. There's no two ways about it. That pilot induced oscillation that we hear about. If you start waggling that side stick around, then that is not where you want to be, frankly. And I think the thing is that you don't have to do very much with it under most normal circumstances, apart from the most extreme crosswind situation that you'll ever likely to find on the approach. But in normal operation, hand flying the aircraft, it's a dream. It really is. But you just got to get used to it. That's all. A few more 1,000 hours practice. You know, but it is great fun, isn't it? Yeah.
It is great fun, and it was good. You've done some very good approaches and recoveries as well, Nev. You know, a few of those approaches that were quite, well off the mark. But you pulled it back.
Landed on the mark.
You pulled it back.
For also, what always impresses me with these fixed base sims is the realism of them, because you've got all that peripheral vision going on, and you really are in the aircraft to all intents and purposes. And you don't get the acceleration and the braking that you would get in a level D, full motion sim. But these are tremendous, and the cockpits are obviously identical to the real aircraft.
And I will say, for anybody in the UK and Europe, they do have experience days here. You can hire the simulators for, I think it's £240 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. So really that's what we're doing, and the instructors, really experienced, obviously, but it's not, sure, we have had great opportunities come up and available for us, but they are available for hire if anybody would actually like to come experience the 737 or the Airbus.
Well worth it. Well worth a visit here at Cambridge. And we'll put the links as well in the notes of the show. But Armando, as our resident pilot, you've obviously flown the PC-12 and the Hawker, which you currently fly. What's this like? What is like obviously flying the Airbus? What we've done so far. What is that? How does that compare to flying the Hawker? Because obviously that's the jet.
Yeah, well, and we were kind of joking about it. Well, the Hawker is a very mechanical airplane. There are cables running and rods running from all the controls. Anything that you touch, there's a physical control running somewhere else in the airplane. So it's very hands-on. You feel everything in the Hawker, similar to all of those kinds of not fly-by-wire airplanes. I will make fun of the Airbus all day long, but like Nev's saying, for what it's designed to do, it's kind of perfection. Controversial statement, I know, but But for doing that many sectors, that many legs, for all the airlines in the world that use the Airbus, I don't think it would have such success if it wasn't what it was. And I think we got to see that if we are able to jump in there after a few hours, 3 hours of previous. I had 10 hours in an Airbus and an A320 sim at Delta Airlines, and we were already doing emergencies and we were doing single engine things. And I think it is exactly what the commercial world needs. It's the perfect airplane for that. And sure, the pilots are obviously there for when everything goes wrong, and the cabin crew.
An aircraft that was designed in the 1980s rather than in the 1960s.
Right.
Perhaps referring to the other product.
The other one. And you can tell when we jump in it that it does what it's designed to do very well. So I think to be honest, I think it's a perfect product for the airlines that use it. We'll see what we were saying here in 3 hours when we get out of the 7.3. Maybe we'll be like, man, those guys are basically flying B-17s. What are they doing? Or something. I don't know.
But we have had good fun. And like I said, as Amanda said, we are off to the 737 sim in a little while to go and sample what real flying is like, where you actually have to push more than, 4 or 5 buttons?
The Airbus? Yeah, and you went, Carlos took one for the team and went first, and the first iteration or training session was a full auto land. So I think you were expecting to at some point fly the airplane, but we just kept pressing buttons and we ended up on the runway and stopped on the runway, center line. Really was when we all took over as manually that we started messing it up. The airplane does it fine by itself.
So, right, we have an announcement to make, don't we, Armando, on the show?
We do.
And so I'm going to hand things over to Armando.
Well, first of all, you will also notice that we were missing 2 of our show members. Mama Smith was not feeling well, so Matt isn't able to be here this week or this weekend. Matt and John, hopefully one day everybody will get to meet John, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But those guys do so much work for the show because, we're here celebrating our 500th episode. Nick, I feel sorry for you because I started at 200, just like you did. I just happened to show up at London because Captain Jeff and Steph and Nick, and I was an APG listener. So I just happened to show up at the 200th down there and met all of you guys. 208, I believe, was my first guest appearance on the show. We were still in the Barn studio. And then I believe it was 220. So 20 weeks after meeting everybody, became a full-time host. That was, 3 years ago?
Yeah,
no, 4 years ago, something like that?
Or more. 400 was 2 years ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so 4, almost 5 years ago. I'm happy for you. I feel sorry for you. That's exactly how I started. 5 years later, here I am. But we are announcing that after 200 and something episodes, due to my job situation changing a little bit, so I'm going to take a step back from the show. And I've already talked to everybody here. Funny enough, the first person that I talked to was Matt about it because I knew he would be the most affected. But I let him know first that, so I will be taking over our flight department with the 2 Hawkers and for the company that I work for. So our chief pilot is retiring. I'll be taking over as chief pilot for him. But then also because Megan, my wife, keeps getting promoted despite her best efforts. She's working more and more. So we're sort of recapitalizing all our time and everything. So I'll be taking a step back from the show. Certainly we'll still be around to be the U.S. field correspondent if you guys want me to do anything. And I still plan on going to Oshkosh, Sun and Fun, knocking out some interviews, but it just won't be on the show full time. However, we have a great replacement.
And also the bit that you've forgotten to mention, we have had a lot of complaints, obviously, which is another reason why he's stepping back. No,
it's the accent.
I jest, obviously.
It's the accent. But, it is PTUK.
No, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on the show for the time that you've been with us and the contributions that you've made, especially with those difficult and interesting incidents, accidents, why things have happened, and obviously particularly the military area, which is not one of my specialties. Yeah, I mean, you are irreplaceable. But not quite.
I am replaceable. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been great, and we've talked about the meeting the community. That's been the best part of this, I think, for all of us. I think that's why we keep doing it. It's not to hear ourselves talk. It's because the community presents opportunities like this, but then meeting everybody at all of our meetups and stuff, and then I love how the podcasts have all come together. Between PIP and APG and opposing bases. Like, I've met up with those guys, and I've flown Ryan from RH from opposing bases, and then met Jeff and Steph, and then spent the night at Nick Camacho's house, and then they come over, and the way we use Nick on our show, Captain Nick. I just love that camaraderie that we have between all the podcasts. Sometimes it's really cool to explain that to people that are like, oh, what do you do for the podcast? Well, we all should all get along. And Micah, right? And Micah with the Airplane Geeks, those guys contribute so much to ours too. So
yeah, I want to say a personal thanks as well, Armando, for being a part of the team. And honestly, you're obviously you're not disappearing. You're not disappearing into the ether. You're still going to be very much kind of
Marty McFly in the picture.
Yeah.
Like my arms going numb.
Yeah, but hopefully, I mean, you'll still send us some little bits and pieces in every now and again. Yeah, because that'd be great. But we've got a replacement. How do I say replacement? No one could replace Armando, but we have got.
He's good.
We have got someone stepping in to fill the boots that Armando is leaving. I don't know whether we should tell the guys and girls now, or do we save that till later? Should we say it? We'll say it. We'll say it. Actually, Nev, who have we got joining?
Well, not everybody can understand his accent, obviously, but notwithstanding that, we are bringing on Andy, formerly of the A320 podcast, onto the show full time. So you'll see him every Wednesday night with us. And obviously his Airbus and 737 contributions are tremendous. He's got a lot of hours on the clock on the Airbus, and also he's flown the 73 previously as well. So his information and experience will be really valuable, and I can't wait for him to join us. No, it's been a really good situation with him stepping in as substitute for presenter sometimes. So and he's got a particular sense of humour, which I hope most of you will enjoy as well. Yeah, so that's Andy. So he's starting with us straight after the 500th.
Yeah, but I want to say a big thanks again, Armando. We did get a little something here as a kind of thank you and gift from us, all the team. So if you want to have a quick look, right, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do it now. That's just a little something to say. Thanks for. No.
Yeah. Wow. Look at this.
The font is quite small, but hopefully you can read that.
Good luck in your new job from your PTUK team. I love it. This is great for the Renaissance Festival. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
So, from the Sim Centre here, we are literally in about another 10 minutes going to be descending, literally descending, ascending in the 737 Sim, with loads of footage of that to come on the show. So from me here and from Armando and Nev and Nick, last words from you.
Yeah, I can't wait to check in after the Sim, but it's been a great ride. So fasten your seatbelts. Let's go.
Let's go.
So starting off with Carlos in the 737 now. He should be feeling pretty much at home, given the toys he's got at home. You see, those of you watching the video, very different concept and layout compared to the Airbus, particularly on that overhead panel. Airbus's philosophy is to have all push buttons other than those switches that are required by regulations to have a physical switch. So that's why you see a much flatter looking overhead panel on the Airbus.
500. Yeah.
And lots of different things. You'll notice the sounds are different. So when Carlos takes the autopilot out, which he's doing now, it's going to sound very different. So there's the autopilot coming out. And on the Boeing, you can't have the autopilot out and the auto throttle, as they call it on here, controlling the thrust in. So you have to take both out. So Carlos is controlling pitch and roll, and he's controlling the thrust and speed. Glide slope course is similar to what we heard with Armando in his A320 goes. Let's just warn you a little bit low.
30, 20, 10.
So probably a little bit of an underflare there. So
center lines
probably coming from the Airbus, which is very gentle. And as we talked about those small inputs, you need bigger inputs on this because it's physical controls, not fly-by-wire. So maybe just a little bit more of a flare required. It's probably a pretty standard 737 landing there. Nice
like
firm
done
one.
that.
But very good job.
That tiller is available for you too. Yeah.
Certainly can tell you've done this before, Carlos.
And we can go gear down whenever you want.
So next up we have Nick in the 737. This one filmed from a little bit further out, so we can see some of the other things that are going on. You can see Armando just putting the gear down now. That noise you can hear there is the trim.
Yep.
Flaps being moved there, so you can see being more mechanical. They're bigger movements rather than almost switches on the A320.
And localizers captured.
That noise there again, that's the trim wheels. So make an input and then trim to remove the pressure off of the yoke or control column. Those of you watching, you'll be able to see those spinning.
There is a good time to go flaps full.
Right.
And then the float will take you right onto the glass.
Okay. So when it gets to where, sorry?
When it gets right about there, when they're matched up with that circle.
So Armando there is pointing out the glide slope indicator, which is our vertical indicator for the instrument landing system, and he's saying as that starts to come in, the point at which to take your flaps, full flaps, and start the descent.
One notch. There you go. Speed brakes are on. Landing gear is down to green. Auto brakes are set to 2. Flaps are set 30, indicating landing lights are on. So when you're ready to fly, is not being read for the speed brake. Set to like 148. 148.
So they're just setting the approach speed on here. So on the 7.3 you have to, they call it bugging, but we have to set the approach speed manually.
So I want to keep the little square in the middle.
That's it?
Yeah.
Just like the Airbus.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the flight
now
director there.
that's just gonna-
The crosses, and there's a square in the middle. You want to keep the
flying it down.
square in the crosses.
1,000 feet.
1,000.
If you want to hand fly, you
So autopilot's coming out.
Now it's still controlling your speed or your throttle, so you just got to keep the square in the middle of the crosses.
So as Armando mentions there, Nick has left the auto throttles controlling the speed and the thrust, which is against normal standard operating procedures, but here obviously not a problem in this environment. So Nick's got very gentle inputs there, very Airbus-like. Boeing's going to want to have more assertive inputs, which may come to bite him a bit later on. Let's see.
Probably would have done a go around, but we'll see if he can do it.
One big advantage to the Boeing
I have a good feeling
over
about
the Airbus
this.
is you can see
You're totally visual.
those watching, both control columns move, so when Nick moves his, Armando's is moving as well.
Take brake.
Oh.
So we're coming down quite quickly.
You're still at.
So you see Armando's able to follow through there. Well rescued, so we had quite a high descent rate at the very late stages of that approach. But rescued, actually a very nice touchdown at the end. Nick there's trying to drive like a car now. He's turning the control column as a steering wheel, but we need to use those rudder pedals and the tiller, which is a hand control on the side. Nice job.
You saved us.
Absolutely, that was a rescue. A good last minute rescue there.
You know, as a passenger in the back of the airplane, he saved us though. Got us on the runway.
Absolutely.
Badly.
Couldn't agree more, Armando.
Terrible.
So next up in the 737 is Nev. Long time since BA had a 737. But we can pretend we've gone back in time.
Visual runway sight.
So autopilot's out. So Nev is now flying the aircraft.
On course, on glide slope, on speed.
So an important technique that Nev's nailed here is the autopilot is doing it very well. So when you take the autopilot out, do as little as possible because it was working before you took the autopilot out.
Plus 100.
Nice and stable.
On course, on glide slope, on speed. Dip it slightly. Pitch up slightly.
Glide slope.
So ever so slightly low there, which is what the glide slope's calling.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Nice flare. Very nice touchdown. Good job. Next challenge, keeping it on the centre line.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, off we go. Probably
I'm
drawn some nice
in the air than I'm on the ground.
nice patterns on the runway there. Ignoring the roller, which actually is quite difficult in the simulator anyway. Very nicely done.
Absolutely bang on.
There we go. All-round agreement. Nicely done, Nev. So next up, we have got Armando in the 737.
Approach checklist, altimeters and instruments.
And just to make it a bit more interesting, he started this further out with the autopilot out. So doing a circuit around, just those of you watching on the screen can just see the runway coming into view now, just lining up.
Speed breakers armed, gears down. Okay, 148 knots in speed.
One thing you'll notice that's very different to the technique used here on the 737 or any non-fly-by-wire aircraft is that the inputs need to be more significant. So we're talking about not over-controlling on the Airbus, but on the 737 you can see that it takes a lot more input because they are direct controls. Armando using his wealth of experience here because he's flown fly-by-wire and non-fly-by-wire aircraft, conventional aircraft, so in his past flown fly-by-wire aircraft and currently is on conventional aircraft, as he mentioned back in the briefing room.
500 feet.
Plus 100.
Lovely with those 2 reds, 2 whites on the pappies there on the left.
Feet.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Very nice touchdown. Nice and smooth, centerline tracking very good there, slightly off to the left. It's not very easy in the simulator though.
Whoa, buddy.
Very nicely done. Did we expect anything less? Good job.
I mean, wow. Oh, hang on, sorry.
That's it. Turn that down. Turn that down.
Take out the live mode. Sorry.
Take out the live. Yes. Well, here we are.
Oh my goodness.
Here we are. We finally made it, didn't we? But I hope you all enjoyed that video of us in the sim. I know we all very much enjoyed our day there, and I want to say a big thanks as well to Matt Clutterbuck, who is with us on the guest host team tonight, for spoiling us really on that day. So thanks to you, Matt.
Yeah, definitely.
No, you're very welcome. I think well deserved for all the work and effort you put in for all the viewers. So yeah, glad you enjoyed it, and I enjoyed grading it all, which we'll come on to soon as well.
So come on, I think we need to. Nev, is this something that I'm not quite sure how this bit's going to work here? Because obviously we need some details. We need more detail about how everybody actually did.
Well, we have actually, what happens with these simulators is that it also gives you the telemetry as well. So it shows you how we did on the approach and whether we're on the glide slope, on the localizer, all this sort of stuff. And we did actually pull all the telemetry data from the simulator, both for the A320 and the 737. So it gives Matt a chance, sort of offline, as it were, to evaluate how we did. And I think there's going to be some disappointment tonight on this show, that's for sure, because some people were better than others. So we can either do that now or we can leave it till a bit later on. It's entirely up to you guys. What would you like to do?
Ooh, the agony of choice now. Should we,
no, let's do it now. Let's do it now, and then we can fire away.
Right, so what we'll do first of all, let's bring up the A320 telemetry then, Matt, if we could.
Who are we going to start with?
Let's have a look. Well, let's start at the top, shall we? So let's look at Armando. So obviously Armando, being a clever fellow and seems to be qualified on everything, we asked him to do a completely manual takeoff and landing with no autopilot, nothing at all, and from 26 left at London Gatwick, all the way around the circuit and back again. And as you can see from that, and I'm no expert, but it doesn't look bad. What do you think, Matt? See?
Yeah, very good. As you would expect, really, from Armando, flying around in corporate jets and things where they have the autopilot off for a lot of their procedures and maneuvers. So he's going to be very up to date and very well practiced at doing manual flying. So yeah, he's done a very good job here, but like I say, as we would expect.
Indeed.
So let's have a look at Armando's landing as well, shall we? So we've got another graphic, I think, for that Matt can talk us through.
Yeah, it's not that easy to see on some of these, but essentially the diagonal black line, that's showing his approach down to the runway, and you can't really see the line because it's exactly on the guideline. So
right.
That's supposed to be wiggly.
So just perfect then, really.
Yeah. You can see there's some very slight variations, but very nice tracking there. And the other ones just show the speed change, which again is all very nice and stable. And then that lateral distance, so whether you're aligned with the runway or not, again, very nice. The beginning bit to the left there, we can see it slightly off. That's just where he was turning on to the approach. But the rest of it, pretty much spot on. So
essentially,
not really much I could critique there.
Right, more's the pity. So essentially, that's telling us exactly what's happening there. Where are we going next, Nev?
Well, let's have a look at Carlos's one, shall we? So we've got the telemetry of Carlos's landing here. This is on the A320 still.
Yeah, so also very good. So I think what you will all be surprised at is actually the flying parts. As we were coming down the approach, everyone was very good.
Okay.
So we had some very nice tracking. You can see there the line is also very straight compared to the guideline, as well as the other ones. You can see speed control was pretty. I think this one was the auto throttles were in, so that is as we would expect, nice and stable. So all of you were very good. It was mainly as was mentioned in the videos, it was normally the flare and touching down, and then the control on the ground that was maybe where some of you came a little unstuck. But flying it, I thought actually all of you did fantastic job.
Excellent. So let's look at Nick's one next on the A320. So Nick's never flown an A320 simulator before, so let's see how he did.
Very good, yeah. And you can see there we started off ever so slightly low, but it came back in on that line and pretty much followed that all the way down. And it's those, as we discussed, those very small movements on the side stick that are the key to flying the Airbus in a professional way. And this is what this looks like, is what I'd expect from someone much more experienced. So yeah, another good job, Nick.
Yay! And let's look at my one. Last and least, I think I would say on this occasion.
To be fair, it doesn't look much different to the other ones.
Too harsh to yourself.
Yeah.
So again, very similar. And you'd obviously had the practice before. So this was our sort of the final approaches of each one. So this is what we'd expect. This is the sort of best ones as went along, and very similar story, Nev. So as I said in the video, very good job. It was just for you keeping it straight once we got touched down. But that's a very different skill as well that you would learn as you go through. So yeah, very good.
Yeah, I felt I just needed to get to the terminal quickly to make sure the following aircraft was on schedule.
Of course, absolutely.
So let's go to the 737 now. Now, obviously, the 737, completely different kind of aircraft in every respect, in terms of yoke versus side stick, the way that you operate the aircraft, and this sort of thing. So let's have a look at Carlos's.
Carlos's, right? Yep.
If we could, Matt, bring that one up.
So obviously this is Carlos's baby. Pretty much, so it's quite hard for me to see here, but from when you look there, you can see that we're slightly off the line, but that was just where the starting position was, I think. And you can see that we eventually got it in by the time we come to the runway. But I think we were just a bit high on this one, and we're spending the time trying to catch up as we came down.
Because I enjoy flying.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the straight line would be where the glide slope is pointed out, and then the thicker line above that was his trace. So just slightly high on this one, and you can see on the next graphic down, that's your left and right. So just very slightly right of the centre line as we come down.
What's the little bump in the airspeed there? What's that all about?
That one, I'd have to go back and look at the video. I didn't notice the speed increase significantly, but it looks like at some point in the video there, the airspeed is increased and then came back down slowly as we got to the runway.
Nice. Not bad. Not bad.
Let's have a look at Nick's one next then. See how he did.
Lovely. So Nick, as an average, actually quite good over the glide slope. You can see we started off a little bit below it, tried to correct it, and then maybe just came slightly above it again. So just slight overcorrection there, and then pretty much got it on. You can see in the latter stages when it's more sensitive, a bit above there, which is why we ended up sort of diving for the runway at the end. But otherwise, very nice and stable, and your centre line tracking in the middle there, very nicely done. So yeah, good job, Nick.
Yeah, well done, mate. Excellent. And then let's go over to the professional department again. Let's look at Armando in the 7-3, see how he did.
Oh, well, he had 3 whites, actually, didn't he, at the end of glide slope call out, didn't he?
Yes,
so,
he did.
You can see there, he's actually slightly below the glide slope line there. And then just above the 1, there you can see that where it dips down, that would have been where he got the glide slope call out. So, as you say, anyone can muck it up.
Yeah.
There.
And last and least, my effort on the 7-3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was an exaggerated version of Nick's. So you ended up getting slightly below. You see we got below the glide slope there, and about the 1 you actually leveled off to try and get it back to being there, but just left it level for too long, so ended up getting high. And you can see that you dived it off at the end to try and get it back, which just made more work for yourself when we got down to do that flare. But the good part is where it says the localizer there, so you're tracking on the centre line of the runway. Very good, nice and stable there.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Very good job.
There we go. So,
yeah.
Are we grading it, or are we just are we handing out points?
I just want to know if I can get a job.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, when do I start, Matt?
Yeah. I'll have to make some calls.
Right. Okay.
What, to insurance companies?
Yeah, insurance companies. See if it's possible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we sort of move on here, people, I've got a guest here in the studio at the moment who's got to go very shortly, so I thought we'd better just have a quick chat before we do that. I'll leave you in charge of that, shall I, Carlos?
Yes, he's someone you may have seen very frequently in our chat room when we're doing our live shows. He's one of our younger listeners, but he's got a massive passion for aviation, and I'm quite sure that one day he may well be sitting in the left or right seat of a Cessna 150 at a certain flight school. But anyway, Oscar, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Good to see you in there. You're in the Master Suite studio. Always good to be in the Master.
I put the Hoover around and everything, Carlos. You'd be very proud of me. Yeah.
So, Oscar, what's it like to be part of our live show? You're live on telly.
Yeah. We should say hello to Dad as well, shouldn't we? Because Dad is watching at the moment as well. Yeah. So we better say hello to Dad, Chris. Hello. Yeah. Carlos wants his bathroom doing, by the way. Just saying. Yeah.
So, Oscar, you've got your PTUK uniform, and I'm glad to see you're wearing your uniform, which is good.
I notice he's the only one wearing. Oh, no, Nev, you've got your shirt.
Nev's got his on.
Of course, he is, absolutely. Yeah, so it's Nev and Oscar leading the charge with Brandy.
So, Oscar, what's the well? You've been on holiday. You were on holiday not long ago, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that with the amazing Ryanair? Was it, or was it EasyJet you were with?
Ryanair.
Ryanair, okay. So you were flying on a real proper aircraft.
Yeah.
Behave.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's not go upsetting Airbus pilots now.
I know. So, Oscar, what's your favourite aircraft? Come on. Is it
747?
Oh, the 747.
Queen of the Skies.
Oh,
good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Oh dear. So how long have you been listening now, Oscar? You've been listening for a good year now, I think.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So I mean, what is it about aviation that you love?
Ever since we first went on the plane, I just really liked it, and I went into the cockpit.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, you see, the first time that I went on an aeroplane, I hated every single second of it, and I couldn't wait to get out. And I think me and Mum share a little bit a similar sort of thing with that. It's useful to go on holiday, but that's literally about it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh dear. Anybody got any questions for Oscar while they're here?
When's he starting his PPL?
That's all right. We try not to frighten Mum at the moment. All right. It's just like nobody tell her how much it costs.
I've got a question for Oscar.
Oh, go on.
Oscar, what are your career aspirations? What do you want to do?
Maybe take friends and family on holidays.
Oh, That's nice.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what I wanted to do when I was your age, and I'm doing it.
And now look at him.
And now he's doing it. Yeah, absolutely. Indeed. Oh dear. All right. Well, I suppose we better let you because it is a school night because we're doing it on a Wednesday night. Of course, it is a school night.
It's a school night. Yeah,
no, absolutely. So we're been allowed out a little later than normal for special occasions. But so thank you very much for coming and joining in on our 500th. Hope you've enjoyed your visit. And yeah, I'm sure we will. As I say, we'll have you in the studio again another time when we're all sorted, and hopefully we'll have some meetups and stuff soon as well. So
yeah,
all right,
definitely,
indeed. All right, say goodbye, Oscar.
Bye, Oscar.
Bye. There we go. Right, okay. Where were we at?
Really,
go on.
See how you thought about it. Well, I guess going through each of you, tell me a little bit about the experience and be kind as you can, Carlos. Compare the two aircraft. What did you think the difference between the two?
Flight deck wise, there's definitely more room on the 320. I mean, I don't know how similar that is from a sim to the actual flight deck on the real 320. Yeah. I'm assuming it's the same.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, more space to move in and get actually on into the seat and stuff like that. Plus the seat as well on the A320 was electric, which is always a bonus, as opposed to pulling a handle and then sliding.
Yeah.
Flying wise, I think me and Armando were pretty much in agreement that I love the tactile feel of flying, having a yoke in my hand and stuff. And it is a different world on the Airbus because you have that side stick and it is, I know everyone jokes about it, but it is like kind of a computer style game joystick. But the Airbus is just, to me, is just 100 times more automated. Is that the right word? It's a lot more, how do I put it? I wouldn't say easier to fly because that's just silly because you do an immense amount of training to fly the 320, but I think it's more. I think once you get the hang of it, I think it's it will be a very easy aircraft to learn to fly as opposed to the 737, which is more mechanical.
Yeah, it's very easy to get into an Airbus with someone with no experience and do some very basic handling skills with it because between every movement you make on your side stick, there's 7 flight control computers between what you do and what actually happens. So there's a lot of computation going on there. And yeah, I think it's a common view that, it's nice to fly with the yoke, or the 737 is nice to fly because you feel like you're flying a traditional aircraft, but for the job that it's designed to do, flying multiple flights a day, busy turnarounds in the environment you're in, I think that there isn't a better aircraft than the A320. It's so good at doing what it was designed to do.
I think that was my feeling, actually, was that if I was doing 3 or 4 sectors in a day, I would be much less tired at the end of it if I'd been flying the Airbus. It seemed to me as though it was made for that job, and it felt like it was very suited to that job.
Even other things that are tiring, like the noise level in the 737 in the cruise, you couldn't take your headsets off and talk to each other. You'd have to keep your headsets on all day, whereas on the Airbus, we can take our headsets off and just have a conversation. So things like that make a big difference as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we joked about it while we were watching the video, but, what you guys have said, you and Andy have said all along is 100% true in the fact that when you're used to kind of training flying like the 150s and that, and you're putting inputs in on a yoke, quite heavy inputs, and you're doing the same with a 737, and you're right in what you guys saying that with the Airbus, you have literally got to be so gentle with that side stick to move the aircraft.
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake or thing you see people struggling with flying the Airbus is that they're over controlling it because you're just sending thousands of signals a second through the computers, and if you're waggling the stick all over the place, you're just sending conflicting messages out to the flight control, so you actually end up sometimes almost with a lag and you just create more work for yourself. So it's very gentle, small input flying, as you say. Yeah. Nev, what about yourself? I mean, you've flown the 320 sim before with myself and Andy in the back. So having then done the 737 this time, what are your thoughts on how it was to actually fly it?
Yeah, I didn't make such a good job of it this time. I think I would have to concede. There's two things I like about the A320. The table to put my lunch on, very important. Although my doctor may disagree as he looks at my current figure. But also I like the flight envelope protection. And frankly, with my handling skills, we're probably going to need it. So I like the fact that I don't know whether it's impossible to stall the aircraft, but there's an awful lot of equipment on board to keep you within the flight envelope and also to maximise the performance should you end up in a situation where you've got a mountain in front of you or something like that and you need the best possible performance from the aircraft without stalling it. So that sort of stuff I really like. But I was going to ask you and Andy actually, compared to, well, we'll call it version 1.0 software when the A320 first came out, to compare to what it is now, are there any significant handling differences to where we are now and also with the new Neo engines, for example? How different is today's A320 from the one from 20 years ago, for example?
Well, there's been lots of things updated. I mean, when the 320 came out, for example, it didn't have GPS, things like that. So lots of software updates. I would say handling wise, no, it's pretty much stayed the same. And some people say the Neo feels slightly different to land. I don't personally. I find them pretty much the same. It's not necessarily software updates. The newer ones that have the winglets instead of the sharklets, they're a bit different to land sometimes. They're a lot more efficient, less draggy, so they don't want to land. So it's easy to float them. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, there have been small software changes in handling, but it's all designed so that it doesn't feel different to you to actually handle the aeroplane. I flew the 21 the other day as well, and that has a different flare law as well. But again, the way the engineers have designed it, it doesn't feel any different to any of the other models. So it's quite clever how they've done it over the years and the updates they've made. They've kept it the same aeroplane, just more efficient.
And speaking to people that fly other aircraft in the Airbus fleet, they say, you know, even the A380, it feels the same to fly as a 320. So the design goes across. So it doesn't even matter what size the aircraft is. They said it's the same principles. 380, you just flare slightly earlier, but the feel and how you fly it is identical on the 380.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, obviously, yeah. So the answer to your question was I prefer the A320 to the 73. I must say, definitely.
Lovely. Yeah, I think overall, I think you all did very well. It's not an easy thing to do, to jump in, and it's particularly not easy to jump from one aircraft to the other when the aircraft that you're jumping from and to are so different in every single way. So a great job, and yeah, glad you enjoyed it. It looked like you had fun, and that was the main thing, you know, the grading and everything, and that was all just for a bit of fun on my part, but the main thing was that you all enjoyed it. So
I think I've got to thank Alan as well, who was our other instructor on the day, for his patience, his considerable patience as we set up for new scenarios and all this. He was absolutely brilliant. So
yes, unfortunately, I was supposed to be there in the back, but Alan had to step in last minute because my hip replacement operation came in, and it was 2 days before the actual sim, so I was still in hospital when you were in there, unfortunately. But next time.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Indeed. Well,
so it is the 500th, and it feels like it's been a while coming, a big milestone for us to reach. So a bit of history. Our podcast began way back when we published the first episode back on the 6th of November 2013.
Wow.
Since then, the team has changed and grown, and we've been lucky enough to become a part of a wonderful aviation podcasting community with friends all across the globe. We've done amazing things with highlights such as the Wings over Pittsburgh show back in 2017. I think all the crew can remember that one. That was a fantastic trip that we had across there. And that was also the first time we all met Rick Bell, I think, wasn't it, when we went to the Pittsburgh Airshow there. And also mine and your trip to Dubai, Nev, back in 2019. I think that was an exciting few days we had there. Really enjoyed that. And not forgetting our 400 show back in Brooklands, where we were there, where we met some real aviation celebrities. And we've also met some great people, and we've interviewed as well, haven't we, Nev? Some fantastic people on the show, some quite well-known people on the show.
Yeah, we've had some very nice, what I call long-form interviews, so sort of 7 or 8 part series with Captain John Hutchinson from Concorde, who was 87 the other day, would you believe? And he sent me a very nice message to say that everything is still functioning as it should, and long may it continue. And then, of course, we had Sir Richard Johns, former Chief of the Air Staff, that Nick also interviewed for us as well. So we've had some very, very high-profile guests on the show, and looking forward to doing some more later this year.
Yes, the amazing support from you, our listeners, has allowed us to grow, as we have done right from day one. And we are hoping to do loads more great stuff this year for the show. We've got some things in the pipeline which are going to be good. And as you all heard during that video there, we have got to welcome onto the team Andy. And he joins us from, quite a background of flying. Well, you've flown the 73 and the A320, haven't you, Andy?
Well, I've flown the 737 sim. I don't have any time on the real aircraft, but I've got a lot of time on the 320, yes. And I'm very sorry that you have to have me now instead of the super cool Armando.
Yeah, I mean, Armando's still going to be here, isn't he? But it's in a sort of a slightly different capacity, just because... well, we all know he flies insane bits of kit. I've still yet to find a type rating he hasn't completed, I'll be honest with you. But
I want to see him do the 380.
Yeah, right, okay. I mean, if what we saw a moment ago in the sim there is anything to go by, I don't think I'll have a problem. Yeah,
Only a matter of time. So joining us tonight, as you just heard there, over in the PTUK Master Suite Studios, he says, is, of course, I'm going to read this as it's written here, our terrific tireless Telecaster, Matt Smith.
What's a Telecaster?
I know what's Nick written here.
It's a Fender guitar, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, absolutely.
And across the peaceful green
an antique,
fields,
I believe. Yeah.
across the peaceful green fields of the Vale of Aylesbury, PTUK's very own tame airport ogre. It's Neville Banks.
Airport ogre.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm flying again next week, so I'll be able to do more criticism about BA boarding on Tuesday of next week from Terminal 5. So there'll be plenty of content, I'm
Absolutely.
sure.
And it'll give us an opportunity to play this, Nev.
Oh, yes, that one.
Show is flight 475. Paging from house with Mr. Neville Banks.
Indeed.
Popular segment on the show, that one. Also joining us tonight as well, you may have seen his excellent interviews from the Drone Summit in Dublin, and also he was our very special,
host
at our special Sim Day. So, Matt C., hello.
Hello. I feel like I've already spoken enough this evening.
Oh, no.
We're all a bit out of sync here, aren't we?
Yeah, it's all a bit the wrong way around, isn't it?
It's a bit wrong way around, yeah. But
thanks for welcoming me on hour and a half into the show, but yeah.
Oh, that's all right. Quite. Yes, and also he's lurking in the background there, looking at his computer with a funny look on his face and wondering when his microphone will be back from ATR. It is, of course, Nick.
Hello. Yes, wishing I was back in the sim, actually.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah,
a bit more time on that Airbus.
And joining us as well, you might have seen as well during the Zoom splits with the camera there. You might see we've got some special guests with us this evening, and joining us, we're going to go. Well, who should I start off with? I'm going to start off with someone who's in the chat room every week, and he's always regaling us of some wonderful jokes within the chat room. So Dirk S, hello Dirk, good to see you in there.
Hello everyone, greetings from Budapest, where I am right now.
Oh wow!
So it's a pleasure to be here. So thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks, Doug. Thanks for joining us. Are you in Budapest? Is that a holiday or you work or?
I wish it was. I wish it was. It really doesn't feel like it, although I had the weekend for myself, but it's actually a work trip. And it's I had to work today on the 1st of May, so it's saying a lot, I think.
Now, you said earlier, Doug, it's quite warm where you are.
Yeah, actually, it's fine. Weather is fine here, so pretty nice when you see the sun through the office window, like from inside. So, but it's all better than having the rain we used to have on where I come from in Germany, back in Germany. So it's actually pretty nice here.
Now, earlier on, we had Captain Cruz with us. He's had to disappear. But thanks, Captain Cruz. I'm sure he'll listen back to this, for joining us earlier. It was great to see you. And we've also got another special guest joining us this evening on the show. He is another pilot as well. He does his bit of GA flying. So welcome to, we've met him a few times before. It's Richard Adams.
Hello there. Evening from a very soggy Isle of Wight.
Soggy? It's always lovely weather.
It was earlier, but it's been raining all evening.
Oh.
The island's just about dissolved recently.
Are you sending that this way, Richard?
I hope not. We could do with losing it here. There's less and less island every day.
So how are things in the world of GA with you, Richard? You said you've not been sort of doing too much flying.
Not been doing much lately, no. I hope to be getting back to it soon, though.
Good.
Yeah, although Sandown is bogged down, being all grass. So.
Oh. And the aircraft of choice, I think, are you the Piper, the PA? Is that the PA?
No, I did have an AA5, but now I'm back to a hiring a 172.
Oh, 172.
Yeah.
And you prefer low wing or high wing?
I don't mind either, really. For sightseeing, I'd say high wing, but yeah, touring around a bit, I love the low wing. So, but if I ever get to do a bit more practice and get a bit more current, I'd like to do some tail wheel as well if I get the go.
Oh. Well, thanks for joining us, Richard. Good to see you in there.
Pleasure.
And also welcome everyone who's joined us in the chat room this evening. Loads of names in there. We are running short of time, so I'm not going to run through all a list of names in there, but we have got all the regular family members in the chat room this evening. So thanks to everyone for joining us on this, our 500th show. Our producer, John, he couldn't make it this evening either. He's busy. I think he's busy flying, isn't he?
He is, yes. Auckland.
Yeah, busy flying.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, he's busy flying. But yeah, don't panic because, Nick's got his microphone hopefully coming soon. Hey, Nick. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. So thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. It's been great to see everyone in there. And also, don't forget to stay tuned because we have got a fantastic competition coming up later on with a chance for you to win an awesome prize in celebration of our 500th show. So it is time to kick off with some aviation news, isn't it, everyone?
Indeed, yes. Yep. Okay, let's go, shall we?
Yes, please do. So the first story this week is this. When I read this, I thought this sounded like the script for one of those films. You know, those the robbery. What's the bank robbery film? The big one, the Ocean's 11. That's it. Yeah, this is on CBA.ca news, and multiple arrests in $22.5 million Toronto Pearson gold heist. A gold heist. Two men who worked for Air Canada allegedly played key roles in the theft of some $22.5 million in gold and cash from Toronto Pearson International Airport last spring, police say. At a news conference on Wednesday, Peel Regional Police said their joint investigation with the US Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives has led to multiple arrests and 19 charges, as well as the interception of a large quantity of firearms destined for Canada. The story is a sensational one, and one which will probably, as we say, jokingly become a Netflix Netflix series. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Police Chief Nissan, with a surname that is quite interesting to read, said this is one very carefully planned and well-organised group of criminals from both inside and outside the airport facilities that orchestrated the theft, he said. Lead investigator, Detective Sergeant Mike Mavity, said the daring theft from an Air Canada cargo facility, the single largest gold heist in Canadian history, which he said 2 men who worked for the airline were instrumental in pulling it off. That's what she said. One of the employees, Pampal Sidhu, a 54-year-old man from Brampton, Ontario, who worked for the warehouse, has been arrested and charged with the theft of over $5,000 and conspiracy to commit an indictable offence. Meanwhile, a Canada-wide arrest warrant was issued for a Simran Preet Panzer 31, also from Brampton, and they said that he worked as a manager and led police on a tour of the cargo facility after the theft and resigned from Air Canada last summer. Now, the story does go on, but this is kind of like the things you'd see on a film script, isn't it? And I'd have thought that an airport would have the security in place for this could never happen, but obviously, yeah.
You work in logistics, don't you, Carlos?
I do, yes.
So you would be familiar with an airway bill.
Oh, yes.
So if you were to turn up to a depot with an airway bill that was for seafood, would that entitle you access to $22.5 million worth of gold?
There's a big difference between those two, isn't there?
Yeah. Seafood,
not just in smell.
Gold.
Also,
Nick, are you asking if Carlos can sort us out, or?
Oh, interesting. I hadn't really considered that as a possible, but that could be quite beneficial for the PTUK coffers.
True that.
Yeah.
We will start getting company cars.
Carlos, what were you doing on the evening of April the 17th, 2023 as well? Just thought I'd ask that question.
Sorry, what were you doing, Nev?
I think I've left the sunroof to my Bentley open.
Oh dear. First world problems, eh?
Yeah. But no, interesting.
I don't know if Matt's got the pictures there, but there was some.
Is there?
The authorities were quite keen to talk to a certain gentleman about his involvement.
Oh yes,
alleged or otherwise. Yeah, I don't know if the pictures for that.
It looks like Bobby George, the darts player.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Nevy George.
Yes. Oh dear.
It's you just chat amongst yourselves for a minute.
We don't need to see that picture.
No, okay.
That took me at least 3 minutes to make that.
Right, okay. Bear with me. One moment, please hold. Right.
I'll tell you what, you laugh, Nick. Those things are a nightmare to sort out, especially when you ship things across to the US. Oh my word!
There he is. Look at all that gold. Questions have been asked.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
But in all seriousness,
you're very pleased with yourself, Nev.
Right.
So would you be if you had a Rolex on each arm?
Well, true that. Yeah, absolutely.
It does beg the question as to whether or not how they managed to do this as a bit of an inside job, because allegedly both people were employees of Air Canada. And the company that was responsible for the gold, well, I say responsible, they didn't do a very good job of being responsible for it. They're actually trying to sue Air Canada now because they are sort of effectively putting the blame with them that they didn't look after it properly.
Oh, right.
So
well, I think they've got a bit of a point.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Bit of a mess up all round, really.
Yeah.
What's that, Andy?
I said they have got a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Nev, you've got the next story, and hopefully not bad news for Flybe?
Well, I don't know. I mean, regional air operations in the UK and Ireland, it's such a problem, and I don't know why we can't seem to get it right. But on simpleflying.com, the headline says, could a new Flybe succeed, or are we in for a replay of Monarch's epic failure to relaunch? Well, a recent established UK-based company called BE Regional has unveiled a potential livery for Dash 8 Q400 aircraft, and it said that it's currently assessing the demand for a future UK regional carrier with no immediate plans to launch an operation. Well, according to Companies House, the country's official company registry, BE Regional Limited, was established on April the 14th this year, with 3 people owning 20,000 shares, each share valued at £1 each. And as such, BE Regional's starting capital is £20,000 sterling. Well, given the vast similarity of the liveries, it's unsurprising that drawing parallels with regional airline, UK airline Flybe, having gone bust in the early days of the pandemic, been resurrected once and failed again, its brand was put up for sale. But having undergone reputational damage not once but twice, relaunching Flybe one more time again would likely not be a great move. So this is not a new airline, or could be, but should the initial studies into demand for regional connectivity into the airport point to a need for such a venture, the company notes in its communications that in 2024 we'll begin making assessments of the demand for a nationwide operator offering sustainable and long-term connectivity, whilst working alongside TDA to start creating a visible presence for our brand throughout the UK and Europe. As they said in the Post Office inquiry today, that's word soup. I thought it was
I like that. That's a good thing. I like that.
Well, I wish them all the best, but right now the project is all about seeing what the demand is, checking out the competition and identifying gaps, if any, in the market. A spokesperson for the company added, "We're very excited to have shared the first news of our launch yesterday. Subject to further assessments of demand and business opportunities, we look forward to becoming an integral part of the UK domestic sector." Considering the rather uncanny resemblance between the two regional carriers' branding, this could be another attempt at relaunching a regional airline that would serve flights within and from and to the UK following the bankruptcy of Flybe twice. The airline initially went bust in March 2020, with a subsequent attempt failing in January 2023. It's quite a long story, but I've just been interested in everybody's opinion on this. Why is it that we cannot operate turboprop aircraft or, small regional jets economically in this country and get the load factors up that would make for sensible operations, do you think?
It's a good question.
I don't. If you compare it to rail fares, for example, people want to go from Exeter to Newcastle or Exeter to Aberdeen, some very long distances, which can be done in an hour and 20 minutes on an aircraft, or an hour and 35 on a turboprop perhaps. And this model just does not seem to be working at all. And actually, I think Neil Cloughley kind of gave us some insight into what some of the problems are from Faraday when he came to our 400th show at Brooklands. I mean, he was saying that the maintenance costs of Dash 8, for example, is high. So you've got to get a lot of bums on seats, and you've got to get the fare right and the operation right in order to make money from it. But it's a real problem, isn't it?
Quite a good point mentioning rail travel there, Nev. I actually saw a story yesterday about somebody complaining from my part of the world. I live down in Devon in the southwest of the UK, and there was somebody trying to travel from Tiverton to London, which I think is a journey of around 2.5 hours. And I think they were quoted a rail fare of around £300 for a return ticket. Now, a company that I used to work for near to Exeter in Devon, we had a London office as well, and the difference in the rail fare and the airfare, so this is when Flybe were flying from Exeter to London City, I think there was about 50 quid in it. and obviously you can fly directly into London City, and then the company's office was, you know, a short train ride away once you're into London. So the difference in time, it just, there was no argument really. It was worth paying a little bit extra just to fly. But yeah, it definitely feels a bit like there's a lack of choice nowadays with rail fares just becoming a little bit crazy. And unfortunately, it seems as though with Loganair in particular, they're very good for Scotland, but they don't seem to serve the rest of the UK as well. And I personally feel like that was something that Flybe were very good at.
Do you think if the pandemic hadn't come along, Flybe would still exist?
I think so.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah.
The pricing is the thing that hits me, and it's a lot. The three people in the chat room have also said about the ticket prices and that. And I know Loganair are still very much flying at the moment, and out of Norwich here. But I just quickly done a quick look on Loganair's website. Now, Nev, you'll appreciate this because you do this route quite a lot. So from Heathrow to you go to Edinburgh, don't you? But I've just done a flight from Norwich, our local airport here, for me and Matt, up to Aberdeen. Okay, return trip with Loganair. How much do you reckon, Nev, for a return trip with Loganair?
80 gazillion pounds.
I would like it to be £190 return.
£571 and 96 pence return.
Dear.
And that's the basic fare. That's not including all the extras and the bits and pot. You know, bits and
I think the issue with these things is startup costs. I think if you're already going, it's easier to maintain. So where I think Flybe went wrong is that they had the absolute niche sewn up where they were flying into all the places you can't get a 320 or 737. And then they decided to start getting Embraers and trying to go to Alicante and things like that and competing with the likes of EasyJet, Ryanair and TUI, etc., etc. If they'd stuck to their model of flying and sticking to their niche, I think they'd been okay. The problem is now is starting up. You've got to get that reputation because having failed twice, how many people are going to trust booking with the new Flybe? They're going to wait until it's established, which is the problem because you need that money back.
And a lot of their routes that were profitable for them have now been taken over by everybody else.
Yeah.
So the market doesn't exist for them now.
That's the thing, isn't it? And I used to think that BMI, British Midlands, Regional used to do quite a good job of some of this stuff as well before it got bought by British Airways, because they did have some turboprop fleets and some small
I think you're
embryos.
right the first time.
Yeah, probably right, actually. They had some embryo 135s and 145s, didn't they? Which they did quite well with the regional routes. But yeah, it's a real problem. And let's see what happens with this one.
Yes. Matt, you have got...
I'm afraid I've got a problem
Matt C.
here. I'm not... Oh, right.
Oh, Smith.
No,
Matt.
No,
are you right? Take Matt S.
No, I'm afraid I haven't got access to the notes at the moment.
Okay, Matt C. Have you got access to the notes?
Yeah.
Would you like to do this next one here from the BBC?
Yes, certainly. As Carlos says, from the BBC, airline keeps mistaking a 100-year-old woman for a baby.
Huh?
So I can guess how this is. Yeah. So a 101-year-old woman keeps getting mistaken for a baby because of an error with the airline's booking system. The problem occurs because American Airlines' system apparently cannot compute that Patricia, who did not want to share her surname, was born in 1922 rather than 2022. The BBC witnessed the latest mix-up, which she and the cabin crew were able to laugh off. It was funny that they thought I was only a little child and I'm an old lady, she said. But the centenarian said that she would like the glitch to be fixed as it has caused her some problems in the past. For example, on one occasion, airport staff did not have transport ready for her inside the terminal as they were expecting a baby who could be carried. The glitch the BBC witnessed happening when Patricia was flying between Chicago and Marquette in Michigan, a flight this reporter was also travelling on. Patricia was flying with her daughter, Chris. My daughter made the reservation online for the ticket and the computer at the airport thought my birth date was 2022 and not 1922, she said. The same thing happened last year, and they were also expecting a child and not me. Patricia's seat was booked as an adult ticket. But it appears the airport computer system is unable to process a birth date so far in the past, so it defaulted to one 100 years later instead. The former nurse, who flies every year to see family and escape the cold winters, says on both occasions staff at American Airlines were kind and helpful in spite of the confusion. American Airlines has not responded to a request for comment. The centenarian says she would like it to be fixed. On a previous flight, Patricia and her daughter were waiting inside the plane for other passengers after other passengers had left, as airport staff had not arranged a wheelchair for her. She says having her real age acknowledged would also be beneficial for Chris. I would like them to fix the computer, as my poor daughter had to carry all our luggage and apparel almost a mile from one gate to the other, she said. Patricia travelled solo until she was 97, but has been reliant on help from her family since then. I have trouble with my eyesight now, so I wouldn't want to do it on my own. But she is adamant the IT problems will not put her off flying, and she says she's looking forward to her next flight in the autumn. By then she will be 102, and perhaps by then the airline computers will have caught on to her real age.
That's interesting, the fact they can't cope with someone being... Yeah. That age.
I imagine the computer probably only allows 2 digits for the year. Yeah.
We managed to get through the Millennium Bug.
I was going to say, did they not update it during the Millennium Bug thing? I mean, there were documents like floating around for years about that. Well.
And the lovely Jenny in Rome says in the chat room, "What's Patricia's secret? I hope I'm still around flying at that age."
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Richard Adams, he's with us here on the live show.
I've heard of him.
Should give her a lifetime first class as an apology. I agree with you, Richard.
Yeah. I think they'll make their money back on that one.
I think they will as well, yeah, absolutely.
Now, Andy, you've got the next one.
Yeah.
Air New Zealand.
This is from aerotime.aero. Air New Zealand passenger breaks leg during turbulence, but continues 7-hour flight. An Air New Zealand passenger suffered a broken leg when turbulence struck on a Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner shortly after leaving Bali on a 7-hour flight to Auckland Airport. According to the New Zealand Herald, the passenger was returning from the lavatory around 30 minutes after takeoff when the Dreamliner suffered severe turbulence. During the turbulence, the Air New Zealand Dreamliner, are we sure this is a Dreamliner? Dropped, resulting in the 47-year-old German passenger fracturing his tibia and fibula. Ooh. The exact nature of how the fractures occurred was not reported. With the 6.5 hours of the flight remaining, the decision was made to continue to Auckland, where the passenger could receive treatment rather than opting to divert to another airport. The doctor on board the flight was able to provide immediate medical treatment, and the passenger was provided with pain relief. According to Hato Horn St. John, paramedics met the aircraft at Auckland at around 5:40 on April 17th and transferred the patient to Middlemore Hospital in Auckland. The New Zealand Herald reported that the paramedics described his injuries as moderate. Air New Zealand confirmed to the news outlet that the passenger's injuries were as a result of clear air turbulence, which is described as sudden severe turbulence occurring in cloudless regions. Air New Zealand's Chief Operational Integrity and Safety Officer, that's a good job title, Captain David Morgan, told the New Zealand Herald that during a medical incident, crew would contact FlightCare Global. A decision regarding the best course of action for the patient would then be recommended by the FlightCare Global team, with assistance from any medical experts helping on the aircraft. The safety and well-being of our customers and crew is our number one priority. Our crew are trained to respond to medical emergencies and always prioritise the well-being of customers on board the aircraft, Captain Morgan said, with a glass of rum in his hand. The passenger was said to be in a stable condition, awaiting surgery. And that's a long time to be on an aircraft
without any pain meds.
Well, it said they were given pain relief. I don't know if that was just a big handful of miniatures from the trolley, but it must have been very uncomfortable for the person.
Why do you think they didn't make the decision then to divert with that level of injury? Then, is it who makes that call?
The captain makes that call ultimately. But
Do
if
you think they
thought
had a
that-
conversation with the passenger about it? Perhaps, you know, I mean, if he's given assurances that he's happy to sort of carry on, I mean, would, you know, if there's no obvious reason for you not to, if you see what I mean,
think
would you have a
could have
conversation with the passenger regarding it and say that yes, all right, okay, fair enough, but as long as you're sure, type thing?
You could have a conversation with them, but ultimately you have to be satisfied that you want to continue. Because a lot of people as well, I've had medical incidents in the past where people have been in pretty dire situations, but they are so desperate to get home that they'll just say, yeah, I'm fine, I'll carry on. And ultimately you have to take that decision away from them. But this medical company that they've been talking to as well, they might have had better guidance as well about, well, for that type of fracture, it's actually better for you to go to Auckland because they have XYZ doctors who are experts in it. There could be multiple factors. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, same as you. I think you have to take it, and often the cabin crew are very well trained in this sort of thing as well. So they will make their own opinions. But it doesn't say when it was aware she'd broken her leg. She might have been in shock and it seemed like a sprain and she was okay. And it was only subsequently that it turned out that she had a broken bone when they x-rayed it or something. You don't know, do you? But yeah, like you say, it's a long way with a broken bone with meds that you can get readily on an aircraft.
It's not the greatest pain relief.
Would you guys say, as our resident commercial airline pilots in the group here, would you say you're very lucky indeed to have a doctor on board on a flight, or would you say it's not every single flight there's always going to be a doctor on board?
There's quite often a doctor on board. We carry a lot of people, especially do 4 sectors a day. That's a fair few hundred people you're carrying.
Obviously, there's a big variance in what a doctor is.
Yeah. Well, yes. If you're a doctor of philosophy or something like that, we don't wish you to put your hand up when we call if there's a doctor on board.
What? Where's the fun in that?
But the few times I've had medicals in recent years, I'd say at least 75% of the time there was actually a medical doctor on board who could offer some guidance. But again, it might not be their specialty. What the issue is or what's occurred, so it varies.
We often have, obviously there's a lot of nurses as well. Nurses are pretty well trained in A&E and things like that. So there's normally, if there isn't a doctor on board, invariably there'll be a nurse.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them.
Our very own Rick Bell in the chat room says if they were over the Pacific, there are not many options to divert.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. I can't remember how much ocean there is between Bali and Auckland. But it might have been quicker to just carry on.
True.
Now, next story, we're talking about this earlier on. Matt C. This is all about virtual reality.
I thought Matt S was going to take it off me.
No. Not at all.
Yeah, this one's going to be, I think, something we're going to get used to in the future at some point. So this comes from generalaviationnews.com. Flight training takes off with virtual reality. So virtual reality, or VR, has been touted for over a decade as the next technology to enhance flight training. But the early days of VR saw hiccups like nausea and eye and neck soreness due to heavy headsets. However, after years of evolution, VR technology is now here to stay and is quickly being incorporated into various facets of aviation. Studies show that VR-assisted learning can improve knowledge retention by up to 400%. This adds tremendous value to the time spent studying. Because of this, airlines around the world are incorporating VR technology into their training curricula. In January 2024, US-based Commute Air, a regional airline, began issuing VR headsets from Visionary Training Resources to new hire pilots during the first weeks of their initial training. Practicing emergencies is part of the reason why the Los Angeles Police Department Air Wing Unit purchased an Airbus helicopter H125 VR simulator from Swiss-based Loft Dynamics. The LAPD's goal is to train for maneuvers and scenarios you do not want to do in the real helicopter, according to officials. It's incredibly challenging for any pilot today to realistically train for the dangerous maneuvers and diverse scenarios in which we fly, said Kevin Gallagher, LAPD chief pilot. Learning and mastering the skills and procedures needed to fly under instrument flight rules and to survive an inadvertent instrument meteorological conditions, or IMC, flight is no exception. In an emergency, you think you rise to the level of your training. This is not true. You fall to the level of your training. American universities with flight programs such as Embry-Riddle, Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach have also seen the benefits linked with VR. Embry-Riddle research found that VR training was able to reduce the amount of time it takes pilots in training to make their first solo flight by 30% in the program's inaugural year. Using VR in aviation maintenance training also offers almost endless possibilities. For instance, students can be immersed inside a turboprop engine without the need for a physical prototype. They can also be instantly transported into virtual hangars and workshops, which saves time and money. These VR experiences help students learn the complexities of aviation machinery, from identifying each part and its function to its relevance in the larger scheme of operations. Moreover, you can develop training modules like real-world routine maintenance tasks to critical emergency repairs. Visual and other technological advances have helped alleviate early VR problems. If your body's senses are not in sync, such as your vision and motion, it can cause nausea, disorientation, eye strain, and drowsiness. With latency under 20 milliseconds, this delay is undetectable and helps avoid the creation of false sensations and simulator sickness. Better VR visuals combined with accurate motion cueing and other sensory inputs has taken the VR experience to the next level. Because VR training works and is more cost-effective, global aviation regulators are taking notice. EASA was the first regulator to approve VR technology in 2021 after Loft Dynamics received certification for a VR flight simulation training device. All indications are that the FAA is not far behind. Flight training officials are urging the FAA to incorporate this new technology into regulations that sorely need to be updated. The benefits they bring to learning is clear, said Lee Collins, CEO of the National Flight Training Alliance. While regulators catch up to the times, private technology companies and even the military continue to help push VR forward. The Air Force's new experimental program called Project Fusion focuses on how pilots learn. They want to explore and prototype a training environment that produces pilots in an accelerated and learning-focused manner. So yeah, interesting technology coming forward. I went to EATS, which is one of the European Airline Training Symposium in Berlin, and they had a couple of these VR simulators there that we got to play on, and they are really good. I feel like in some instances it's using the technology for the sake of using technology. I think VR has some huge benefits, but it needs to be used in a way that is actually valuable. So for example, the one we sat in, it was a Diamond DA40 cockpit, and then you put a VR headset on, and then you were touching the buttons that were in the real aircraft, so you might as well have just taken the headset off and used the real thing. But I think coming out of a sim and maybe practicing procedures or your flows of going through the checks in a classroom or at home could be very, very valuable. What do you think, Andy?
I'll tell you an area where it's starting to actually be picked up in more, and it's more mixed reality than full virtual reality, is cabin crew training. So using a full mock-up of a cabin, but with a headset on, having it filled with people, with fires to put out, coordinating evacuations, things like that. It's a really, really useful tool because they still have to physically touch things, such as the fire extinguisher to put out this virtual fire, or tell people come this way to leave the aircraft. Mixed reality at the moment seems to have more use than full VR, because like Matt said, what's the point in sitting in a cockpit and then putting a headset on when you've got everything in front of you as it is?
Yeah. And so that's where like the visor's clear, isn't it? Is that augmented reality? Where
it's like augmented reality. Yeah,
I think. And it mentioned maintenance there. I saw quite a while ago. I think it was in Japan. I think it's Air Nippon or one of them. They use it for their maintenance, and they can stand in a room and, anywhere in a classroom, and they can look and open up and expand parts of the aircraft and things like that. Whereas, we have to have simulators at the moment, so that resource is already there. Whereas if you want someone to learn how to take apart or do some sort of servicing on a $10 million engine, that's a much harder resource to get hold of. So yeah,
I think now we've seen
cabin crew thing. That's good.
Yeah, I think now that we've seen Apple as well release their Pro Vision headset, I think we'll see a lot more use or more companies heading down that road as well, because it's pretty cool headset. Have you ever tried? Have you seen the videos of watching F1 on it, Matt? It's awesome.
Yeah, where they have it all like the track on the table.
The track on the table, all the screens around you. Yeah, so you can do so much with it.
Have you ever tried one of those VR headsets, Nev? The ones that you can buy on.
Yeah, I actually used to work for a company back in 2008, I think it was, called Holovis International, near Lutterworth. And they did a lot of that kind of stuff, and I was there for a year, and I learned so much about virtual reality and augmented reality, bearing in mind that was some time ago, and the amount of computing power required to do that was substantial. But now it's far more compact, but there is definitely areas for where you could get motion sickness and all the rest of it if things aren't properly synced up properly. But as you say, augmented reality is definitely the way forward for many of these sort of training scenarios, I would say.
Right, that was the last in the commercial news stories, and we're nearly at the 2-hour mark already, guys. Blimey. We've got some comments from our listeners. Some of you guys and girls sent in some feedback, which is really good. I'm going to read the first one here that we had in from our local listener, Mazus. He's just up the road from where me and Matt are here. He says, "Dear all," he says, "I'm not sure whether I'll be able to join you for the live recording, so I just wanted to send my very best wishes." He said he first encountered the World of Aviation podcast back in 2016, with APG being the first one he stumbled across. Coincidentally, he said, I think the first of their episodes he tuned into was number 236, featuring someone called Neville Bounds. As he continued to listen to Captain Jeff, who kept mentioning two characters called Carlos and Matt Smith, who apparently had their own UK-based aviation podcast. So he felt he ought to give it a try, and immediately became the highlight of his week. Oh, thanks, Mazus. And also, he said he discovered that I am based not too far away, which he's just up the road, 20 minutes away. He had to wait until 2022 to meet the crew in person at the 400th show recording at Brooklands, and then again later that year, closer to home in our lovely city of Norwich.
Oh, yes, you came for that one, didn't you, You came down, we went to the rooftop gardens.
Rooftop gardens, yeah.
Nice dinner there.
Oh, we did.
Mazu says, thank you to all, Carlos, Matt, Nev, Armando, Nick, and the unsung hero producer John, for all your hard work and enthusiasm that make Plane Talking UK family so special. I'm sure there'll be a great turnout for the 500th, and I apologise in advance if I'm unable to join you. Here's to the next 500 shows.
Oh,
very
500
best wishes,
more.
Mazus.
Well,
now, Nev, do you want to take John's next?
Yes, I will. Yeah, very nice for you, John, to send this in to us. This is from John Falk. He says, "Hi, I became aware of Plane Talking UK when I was flying to the Jersey Airshow in September 2022. I noticed the shirts that Nev and Carlos were wearing whilst boarding, and during the flight I turned round to talk to them as I was one row in front of them. Nev was not in 1 Alpha."
What? What?
Yes, well, I've had to send a
strongly worded letter. Yes, I bet. Yeah.
However, he said this was the famous flight that Nev and Carlos always referred to, with the long float and then hard landing with lots of reverse thrust and brakes, as the team in front made sure we had landed without a go around or a tip off the cliff at the end of the runway. I knew it was unusual, as being a regular to Jersey, knew we'd gone long before the undercarriage was down firmly. Yes, and the smell of the brakes was memorable, I think, Carlos.
Award-winning, I think is the word.
Yes. Anyway, says Nev and the team were then kind enough to show in episode 434 in November of that year a video featuring me of my photo shoot and high-speed taxi run in Avro Vulcan X-Ray Lima 426 at Southend. 70 years after the first flight of the Vulcan, test piloted by my father, Roland Rowley Falk. A very special day. I'll be in Jersey again for the air show this year, and I hope Nev, Carlos and the rest of the team can make it as well. Keep up the excellent work on the shows. It takes a lot of time and energy from the whole team, visible and invisible, to produce a slick show that you do every week. Congratulations to you all on your 500th episode. Long may that continue. Yes, that's probably...
He's being very kind there, isn't
yes,
he?
it's being a bold statement there, but he says, yes, thanks very much indeed, John. That was very nice of you to send that. And yes, I'm glad we met up with you on that flight, and glad that we can keep in touch. And I will try and find a way to get to Jersey again later in the year for the air show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And we've also got a couple of videos to play out as well. And the first video we're going to play out is actually from someone who is sitting very close to us here in the Zoom call. So, Dirk.
Oh, dear. You're really going to play that out. Oh, dear.
Matt, hit the button.
Hello, dear PTUK family and hosts. Congratulations to your 500th show. I am Dirk S. You might know me from the YouTube chat room, live chat room, on Wednesday evenings, and maybe from episode 454. Just go have a look. I would like to, congratulate you on your 500th show. I mean, that's amazing. 500 is a ridiculously high number. So congratulations to that. Many shows don't even make it to that point. I thought I would say hello to you from a very special place, or some aviation-related place, and I guess I found one. I mean, look around. That's an amazing place. I'm currently in Budapest, and this is the Budapest Airport Aero Park Open Air Museum. There's a lot of nice planes sitting around here. So I'll go and have a look, but first I wanted to say hello to you. What I would like to point out is what I really like about PTUK is, first of all, the chemistry between you hosts. It's always amazing seeing you folks. Plus, for me, actually, the podcast is a live show, because I like the live show most. That's where the magic happens, and all of you being there every week in the chat room will know what I'm talking about. So what I like most about is the knowledgeable people that you gather every week, be it the hosts, like, you know, we all know what Armando is. Armando knows practically everything about aviation. Maybe Andy, you know, all the hosts that you bring in, plus, of course, the amazing guests, lots of knowledge and expertise in the chat room as well. So every time you like ask something, or you give they give some insight on the stories that you guys read out. So amazing place. What I like least, and what we all probably like least, is of course Armando teasing us with one of his gazillion airplanes that he pilots or owns, or whatever you know what I'm talking about. No, just kidding. So guys, thank you very much for all the joy you bring into the Wednesday evenings now. I still have to get used to that. Stay healthy, stay like you are, keep changing the show like you do, because I like a new segment every now and then, which is always fun. And so up to the next 500.
Thanks,
Nice.
Dirk. Very good. And I love the backdrop as well. The green screen there looks
Green screen's
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
I
better than
worked
ours.
hard on that. Yeah, just to get it right for you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. So it's you owed it. You earned it. That was what I wanted to say. And actually, I missed one fact, because you asked for like what was the first episode you actually attended, and mine was, I had to look it up. It was 363 on 16th of April 2021, and that was the one with Ian and Jason from the AF Talk, from the Flight Radar 24 AF Talk, because I was already a listener to that podcast, and that drew me over, and I stayed.
Love that. No, brilliant. Yeah, I'll tell you what. We have interviewed some amazing people in our time, haven't we? We've it's been quite an amazing. We've been very lucky, haven't we? With great access to some things, and we're talking about some of our favourite moments and all that kind of thing. I think one of my favourite moments actually was where you and Nev Carlos went to the Dubai Airshow, and the fact that you got to sit down with a guy from Boeing and have a chat, just like it's like literally like blew my mind, and it was such a good interview as well.
I'll never forget, Nev. I was sitting at that table on the Boeing veranda there.
As you do.
Nev was there with the camera and stuff, and we had one or two security people monitoring us while we were doing that interview. Nev.
And we were interviewing Randy Tinseth, who at the time was one of the vice presidents at Boeing, wasn't he? So, yeah. And he now works with Neil Cloughley at Faraday, funnily enough.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, he does. Yeah. We've also got a video to play out as well. She was in the chat room earlier. I think she might still be in the chat. She might have gone off to cook her tea, because she always cooks her tea at this time of the evening. It is the lovely Jenny from Rome. So, Matt, if you've got that, press the button.
Hello, this is Jenny. Usually in Rome, but currently in the Peak District in the middle of England. I first heard about PTUK listening to the Airplane Geeks podcast, which mentioned you, and I joined it around episode 10, I think, so I am indeed a long-term listener. As a regular visitor to Norfolk, it was great for me to find a local aviation podcast. What do I like about the podcast? Well, I like the contents and the format, and of course the presenters, who really I now look upon as my friends. The timing of the show's tricky for me, because whichever day of the week you're on, with the time difference, I can only listen live for about half an hour as I prepare the family dinner, but then I catch up with the podcast or on YouTube later on. My aviation backstory? Well, I took my first flight on a BEA Vanguard probably in 1960. I was 4 years old and travelling as an unaccompanied minor from London to Edinburgh to visit my grandparents. I had to wear a little metal badge with diagonal red and silver stripes, and I can still remember the cabin crew taking good care of me and entertaining me. But I did start to cry at a certain point. They told my grandmother on arrival that I'd been worried the plane couldn't get back down to the ground because the clouds were in the way. I thought clouds were solid. Anyway, once that problem was solved, I never looked back, and I've always loved flying. So, congratulations to PTUK on your 500 episodes. Thank you for all your hard work, everything you do. Long may it continue. And I hope to meet up with you in person this year at the Old Buckingham Airshow, which will be great. Be for now.
Oh,
thank you, Jenny.
Caught me unawares.
Thank you, Jenny. Yes, it'd be nice if we meet up with Jenny again, hopefully this year at one of the air shows that we attend. I know she sometimes goes over to Duxford over at Cambridge. It would be nice to meet Jenny as well, back again there on the home ground as such. But yeah, thanks for your feedback, Jenny. And yeah, episode 10. That was pre-video show. That was when we were still doing.
That was just audio. Blimey,
audio
episode
shows
10?
back then.
That was pre-gas and electric, wasn't it?
I think it might be right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So black and white.
Yeah.
Move. My word. Yeah. Blimey. Remember those days? Betamax. Anyway, moving on to the next part of the show. We've got the competition coming up very soon, but it's time for another segment that's become very, very popular on the show, and it's our look back at a retro airline ad. And this week, we go back to the 1980s for a look at how Alaska Airlines did things back then.
Have you ever wondered just what flying is coming to?
Hi, I'm your talking ticket.
Oh.
Do you have baggage?
Oh, yes.
Hi, I'm your talking ticket. Do you have baggage?
I don't have any baggage.
Please enter the aircraft to the left. Hi, welcome aboard. Now let's adjust our seatbelts. Please put your seat back in the fully upright position.
At Alaska Airlines, our people go out of their way to show you they're only human.
I mean, wow. I don't know what to do with that.
I love the shot there of the cabin, and there's no aisle. It's just all seats across.
Yeah. Wow.
That was fantastic.
My goodness. I don't know what to do with that. I really don't. Oh, no.
Excellent.
Any door plugs at all?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no,
You had to go there.
Yeah. Yes. Well, so far, we'd managed to talk about Boeing in a nice way because it was all part of the Airbus versus Boeing debate, and suddenly here we are.
That's
all right. I'll be back to normal next week.
Yeah.
That's back when they made real aircraft, Nev.
That's right. Yes, indeed. Before the McDonnell Douglas merger, if that's what it was. Yes.
Anyway, now next up, Nev, would you like to introduce our very special competition giveaway for this 500 show?
Yes, my only regret is that apparently the presenters are not allowed to take part.
I'm furious about that. Furious about that.
But have a listen to this.
Andy, you've got one more week, and then you can to enter.
Oh, that's true, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
There you go.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah. Love that.
I'll just get a pen.
Yeah.
I think this is a very good question, actually. Well, we're giving away this very special plane tag. This particular tag is from Alpha 6 Echo Delta Alpha, which is Emirates' first Airbus A380, and it is number 356 of a run of 380 tags. Flying a total of 6,319 flights, Delta Alpha visited 62 destinations and carried over 2.1 million passengers in luxury for a total flight time of 55,863 hours. To be in with a chance of winning this amazing tag, we need you to give us the answer to this question. All Airbus A380s come equipped with a feature that appeared on some DC-10s, L1011s, A340s and Boeing 747s. What is this feature? I shall repeat the question. All Airbus A380s come equipped with a feature that appeared on some DC-10s, L1011s, A340s and Boeing 747s. What is this feature? Send your answers, please, to podcast@planetalkinguk.com and we shall draw out the winner next week, I would imagine, if that's the plan. So, yes. Podcast@planetalkinguk.com.
Can I suggest we do it the week after? Because if it's just me and Andy,
well, in that case, that gives you 2 weeks to come up with the answer.
As it's the 500, we'll give everyone 2 weeks to enter.
Fair enough.
You don't want independent adjudicators having to be called in if me and Matt are trying to.
Well, no, exactly. It's all going to get all a bit messy, isn't it?
For those of you watching in the world of YouTube, you'll see the pictures that Matt's been putting up on the screen there of that particular tag, and it is safe to say it is pretty damn good. And I know that when Emirates put these on the site to sell, I know they sold out fairly swiftly, and I did have to get in there fairly quickly to get this tag. So,
and we also know a very friendly Emirates cabin crew member who is absolutely furious that we have this to give away as a prize.
Yes, and he can't enter either.
No, absolutely, indeed. No. There we go.
No. So don't forget, if you want to enter to win the tag, you can enter that through the usual means. More details that on at the end of the show. But also, we need to make a big point as well to mention on the 500 as well to everyone who donates to the show, all our Patreon and PayPal donators who support us every single month on the show. A massive thanks to all you guys and girls out there, because you really do help to put together everything and help to put together what we do as a team here every single week on the show. Yeah, there's lots of things it supports. It obviously supports all the web hosting fees and the website stuff, and all the kind of tech stuff that we have to put together, which Matt has quite a lot of in the studio there, in the Master Suite studios, to make things look all glorious and seamless every week. And that's what we hope anyway. Indeed. So thanks to everyone, all our PayPal donators and listeners of the show. And Nev, would you like to let our glorious listeners know not only where they can enter the competition, but also if they want to become Patreon and PayPal donators?
Yes, so you can catch up with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn. Just search those platforms for Plane Talking UK. Our WhatsApp number is +44 757 2249 email the show for competition entries or for general comments, podcast@planetalkinguk.com, and the website is www.planetalkinguk.com. Obviously, you can see our YouTube channel as well. You'll get notifications when we go live. And as so many people have done tonight, who've been in the chat room, which is marvellous, just go to youtube.com and search for Plane Talking UK. As Carlos mentioned, we've got Patreon and PayPal payment options for you for those that feel they can donate some money to us. That is very much appreciated. The details for that are on our website. And also, we've got some more videos to play out from the Drone Summit in Dublin. We'll be doing another one next week. I've got one ready to go in the can for next week's show, so that'll be good. We've got probably at least another 5 to play out, I think. So we had lots of content from that show, and also we've been doing very well on the social medias with it, especially on LinkedIn as well. So we're very pleased for the people that have liked and reposted. So that'll be great.
I'm going to say a big thanks to everyone who's tuned in for the 500 show tonight, all the chat room members and everyone as well who downloads and listens to the show as an audio podcast. Thank you to all your support over the last 500 plus shows that we've done. So big thanks to everyone for that. Also going to say thanks to Dirk for joining us on the show tonight as a live host on here. Dirk, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Good to see you, and enjoy the rest of your stay in Budapest.
Thank you. I will.
Yes. And also big thanks as well to Richard Adams. Thanks, Richard, for joining us. Hopefully you'll be getting back up in the air soon.
Hopefully, yeah, and thanks very much for letting me on. It's been very interesting seeing all what goes on in the background.
Yes. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, I guess keep it a big secret, guys.
Yeah. We had to sign an NDA before.
Absolutely,
we did. That's right. Yeah,
absolutely, indeed. One person who isn't here now, but who was here earlier, I know he's really enjoyed his visit, was the lovely Oscar, who was sat right next to me here in the studio. There's a view you don't get to see very often. That's what the studio looks like when we're live and on
excellent.
air. There you go. Look at that. Taken by Mum. He's had an absolute best time, and thanks everyone for making him feel so welcome. Is what he said. So
good. So good. Yeah. Also, a big thanks to Matt C for joining us tonight, and also for making our 500 show so very special as
literally the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Oh, you're very welcome. And as always, thanks for having us on. Always a pleasure. Always have a bit of a giggle. So, yeah.
And also our new member of the team.
You'll regret it.
He's still here. That's a good start. He's still here. Yeah.
I've got to go and fly now.
All right. No, fair enough. All right. That's fair enough.
Excuses.
Yeah. Here we
Thank
go.
you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the future, whatever it holds.
Indeed. Going to be fun, isn't it? Going to be fun.
Yeah.
And also thanks to Nick as well for putting together the notes this week. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, pleasure. I'm just looking forward to the PTUK meetup in Andy's pub.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, now I'm on the staff, I suppose I'll have to make it happen.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. Terrible,
absolutely.
isn't it? Yes. Yeah. That's the only reason we invited you on, Andy.
Yeah, I thought so.
So as we do at the end of each show every week, quick round robin. What are we all up to next week? We're going to start off with Dirk. What are you up to next week?
Up to next week, hopefully having less work. That was
Always
an
the
awful
future.
week. It still is an awful week. Actually, obviously, we'll be doing some flying on Friday with the late flight back from Budapest to Düsseldorf with some good old Eurowings, with some good old not too great legroom, but that's also depending on I'm told. So. Yeah, that will be it, and nothing special going on. Oh no, I will be having a motorcycle safety training next Friday. Actually,
Hello.
Always good.
I just saw Nick light up like a Christmas tree there briefly.
Richard, what are you up to next week?
Oh, I should be doing the same as this, I think. Just doing loads of catching up on IT training. So not the most exciting,
I'm so
but
sorry
essential.
to hear that. Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
They make the. I don't know. I've never understood. I don't know why, Richard. You'd have thought, really, like, given the fact that you've got these talented people out there who love that. Why do they make them so dull?
I don't know. What annoys me is I have to retrain every sort of year, every 6 months for some of it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I had to do my cyber training this week, and I mean, they could not have made the video more dull.
No,
they really couldn't.
Nev, what are you up to next week?
Well, it's Bank Holiday Monday in the United Kingdom, so don't forget to have a day off. I hope the weather perks up a bit. It's not been fantastic, but and then Tuesday I'm going to Edinburgh, there and back in a day. One Delta on the way up, and 2 Foxtrot on the way back. We'll have to see what we can do about that. Wednesday and Thursday I'm with some customers. They've got a new office opening in Dunstable in Bedfordshire, not very far from where I live, which is great. And then it's Friday again. So, quite a hectic week next week.
Excellent. And Andy, what are you up to next week?
Yes, Monday off. Tuesday I'm off down to Gatwick, and then I'm doing a mixture of flying and office bits and pieces. And I'll be on the shore next week as well.
Excellent. And Matt, what are you up to next week?
Pretty much the same convalescence, bit of recuperating and getting ready.
Yeah.
No flying.
Have you got, as I say, because like obviously you've been off having this done. I mean, is it literally sort of straight in at the deep end the second that you've got your ticket basically?
No. There'll be a training package to go back in. When I had the last one done, I think I had 7 simulator sessions.
Okay.
4 hours each before.
Gorgeous.
Then having training back on the real aircraft. So I'd be in the captain's seat, and then you'd have a trainer in the first officer's seat for the first few flights. So yeah, they put a training package together, but that will probably be September, I would guess, something like that.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And go on, Nick. Oh, Matt.
No.
Oh, Nick, what are you up to next week?
Well, I'm actually going to have to start doing show notes again, because we obviously had last week we had our brilliant interview with Raya, which was fantastic, but it meant that I had a week off. So I'm gonna have to be back to doing show notes again now. So I'm gonna have to start working again.
Outrageous.
And Mr. Smith, any exciting plans for next week?
No, not really. No, really not. Sort of desperately trying to get a back problem sorted out that's sort of made my left leg go numb and all that kind of thing, which is less than ideal, shall we say, because walking is a bit of a challenge at the moment, which is hilarious. You would literally laugh if you watched me do that currently. It is utterly hilarious. So that's really the focus at the moment, just more call listening and doing the day job, really. Yeah,
Andy's got a pub full of stuff that would help that.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, absolutely.
All medicinal. Everything in here is medicinal.
Quite, absolutely.
So
Indeed.
next,
Carlos, what are you up to?
Now, next Tuesday, I am going to be doing a first for me. Well, and I know what you thought, just then. You thought you'd been to Malta before. Well, no, I'm going out to Malta with my dad. Me and my dad are going to have a long overdue father and son trip back to Malta. But it will be my first ever trip out on a Max.
Oh,
yes.
Right. Oh.
Don't sit near the doors.
No. I'll try not. So yes, Tuesday we'll be departing from the lovely London Stansted.
Lovely. Well, Godspeed, dear friend. Godspeed, especially if you are near the doors.
Off back to my spiritual home, my second home of Malta. So I'm looking forward to that. Getting back out there for a break and a nice little week away. So looking forward to that very much. But yeah. Going to be probably that long walk, I expect, Matt, that we had, to gate number 290,000.
Yeah. Genuinely, I would struggle to do that at the moment. That wouldn't be funny at the moment.
It is a hell of a walk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Unless you get lucky and it's on the train.
Yes. Or you get one of those beep, beep, beep things.
Yeah, I could order one of those.
Yeah, love those.
Yeah.
Love those. So that's it. That is where we're going to bring episode 500 to a close. Big thanks to all the guests, all the viewers, all the hosts, everyone who's contributed to the show tonight. Big thanks to you all. And yeah, there we go. 500 shows done. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend, whatever you're up to. And, well, some of the half of the team will see you next Wednesday. So for me,
get to the 500 and everybody's like, right, no, I'm busy next week. Sorry, bye.
So from me, Carlos here. I've got a good excuse. From me, Carlos here in the home studio. From Matt in the PTUK Master Suite studios. From Nev in his studio. From Dirk in his Budapest studio. From Richard in his studio. From Andy in his pub studio. And from Nick in his home studios. And from Matt C in his well soundproofed studio.
Absolutely, yes.
Take care and see you all soon. Say goodbye, Matt.
Bye-bye, Matt. And there we are. The 500th is in the can.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Is it? Yeah. Do you know? I really like a wrap right now. Ideally, like a barbecue chicken or something.
One of those.
I was just going to say, we've had no mention of food in this show.
I know. I know. We always save it for the after party, Richard. To be fair.
That's right. Yeah.
I haven't had any dinner yet. I'm ravenous.
Oh, haven't you?
Yeah.
No.
Same here, and I won't get any.
No. Oh no. Oh dear. I feel bad now.
What is on the? What
Can
is
we send him a care package?
You, Dirk? What's behind you, Dirk? What is that on the wall?
That is actually
art.
That is a staircase.
Oh, an actual staircase.
It is an old staircase photographed from the top. I think this is an old part. The hotel is in a very old part of Budapest, I've been told, and that was actually, quote, the shittiest part of the town. as the locals.
There goes
told
the
me.
rating.
Everyone's So
still on YouTube, Dirk. I'm glad it was Dirk, not me.
I know, absolutely. It's all right. It's fine.
Someone
I'll cut
had
this
to
bit
do
off.
it.
It's fine. It's fine.
Someone had to do it, and I suppose that this is a part of this building or some building that was here before the hotel was built. So they rebuilt the whole area, and they did a pretty good job, I must say. So
love it.
They're investing a lot of money.
Love it. That's good. That's good. Oh dear. There we go. So that
all went quite well, didn't it?
I think so. I think we got away with it. I must say again, Matt. Once again, thank you so much. Such a cool opportunity. Absolutely gutted that I couldn't make it. Really.
That's right. No worries.
Gutted.
Yeah, it's a shame. Maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'd still like to do that sort of plan that we had at some point. So perhaps we'll have to see if we can nail that down and do that one afternoon. But and Nev also, this is the one thing that people don't get to sort of see or hear quite often is if anybody's ever tried to make a video in their life and try and make it in any way interesting and or smooth and beautiful, you'll know how much insane work will have had to have gone in to those multiple cutaways and all that kind of thing to put together a little, just a little 48-minute long video that was in no it was just, I've never been so enthralled in a video in my entire life. I mean, it's like, mate, you honestly put the BBC to shame. You really
exactly.
Really
I thought that it put some of the rubbish that I've seen on BBC to shame.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
indeed.
How long did it take you, Nev?
Thank you.
How long did it take, Nev?
Oh no! Don't ask that question. Oh God, no!
It was a while. We had to do it in little bits, and then Matt and I went back to the simulator to shoot some other bits and pieces. Well, then Matt came into my house to do some voiceovers. So there's quite a lot to it, and to glue it all together and synchronizing between my camera and iPhones, which have different frame rates as well. Lots of mucking about on the timeline to try and get all that matched up. But
I'm looking forward to watching it on telly, sort of properly, so I can sort of enjoy it a bit more. In the comfort of my sofa.
Indeed.
Yes. So thank you. That's very kind.
Great.
But I enjoy doing it as well. So.
No, very much appreciated. Well, I think we should let these lovely people get back to their evenings.
I'm going to go and get a beer.
I was going to say, like I'm sure Nev, like me and several others, all absolutely either starving and or knackered, or both. But it's been a huge amount of fun. So we're going to say goodnight to our YouTube, our Zoom audience. Just stay there for a minute. We're going to say goodnight now to our YouTube audience, and I think we should leave it with Nev, as always, to have the final word.
Well, thanks ever so much, everybody, for joining us for our special show today. We've really appreciated it. And thanks for your contributions as well. We could not make the show without you. So thanks ever so much indeed. Hope you have a nice weekend. We'll see you all next week. Myself and Carlos won't be on the show next week, but we'll cobble something together to give you episode 501. But for the meantime, bye for now.